Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome back to DevChatter. This is, I believe, episode 82 or something, and it is Thursday, and we are here on this nice Thursday afternoon for me, might be evening or morning for some of our viewers. Thursday is one of our earlier streams, so we're here a little bit earlier than we are on our other streams, but hopefully that works out well for people's schedules, and we can get people here and started a little bit earlier. For anyone who is new here and doesn't know who I am, my name is Brendan. You can probably figure that out because it's written right below my name. Well, face. My name's written below my face. Yeah, that's the words. I know words. And we are here for another programming session. We're going to write some code together, talk about code, talk about programming, talk about C#, .NET, ASP.NET Core, .NET Core, and pretty much anything related to programming that we find interesting. So DevChatter is not just me, it is actually a community of, I guess I'd say, interested developers and budding developers that want to talk about and improve the code we're writing. The main thing that we do here is we have this live stream where a bunch of us come together at the same time, we chat about code, we discuss what we're writing, and we work on these projects. Some of our viewers actually work with us and contribute back to the project. So we have all the code that we do here on stream, regardless of whether it's just a one-off or an ongoing project, is stored out on GitHub. We push all of it out to GitHub, and we welcome anybody that wants to make any contributions. We get some from time to time from our viewers, and we have a number of issues in our GitHub repository that some of them are marked as good first issues, and I do believe we just got rated by C# Fritz. So welcome C# Fritz and friends. Hopefully you all had a nice hat wearing day. I should probably make you all feel a little bit comfortable, so 1 second. There we go. Alright. Okay, there we go. So everybody's welcome, whether you wear hats or not. I am looking forward to seeing, I hear that Fritz is working on his new sub badges for his Twitch channel. So hopefully you all are looking forward to that. I know I am waiting to see what he comes up with. I would love to have a little hat for myself. Well done using the Fritz command there, Janiscu. Oh, my hat's semi-transparent? Well, that's fun. It's always the best whenever a streamer picks up something green and it starts to go transparent during the stream. So, welcome everybody. Welcome. So we are going to be doing some C# coding here. I'm not actually going to wear a hat for the whole stream, even though we got a bunch of Fritz people in here. What we are going to do is some more C# and .NET Core coding. So we have an ASP.NET Core project that we've been working on, and it has, right now it's got Hangfire, which for anybody that doesn't know, that is a third-party tool that does automation of background tasks. So think you want to fire and forget a task, or you want to fire off a task that's going to repeat on a scheduled basis. It's a fairly complex solution, and I think it's a little too big and does a few too many things for what we want here. So we're going to go a little simpler. Also, being a programming stream, we don't mind reinventing wheels whenever we want to, because we're here for the fun of it to begin with. So since we are obviously just trying to have fun, we don't worry too much about, oh, there's already a tool that does that. Well, we want to learn how it works, and the best way to learn how something works is to build your own instance of it. Hector, Salt, and Denny, thank you all for the follows, and welcome everybody. Yes, Blub, the new sub-icons are live. You can see them on the bot, and you'll notice that there are sub-badges for the different tiers for however long you have been a subscriber here on the channel, and yes, they follow our nice dinosaur theme. So I did announce to people on Twitter earlier today, so before I jump over to the code, which we're going to get to in just 1 second, don't you worry, I do want to show people a couple of things. I just got a delivery of something from our designer just before this stream started today. So we're gonna get these printed up as stickers. So our nice, our dinosaur that we know and love is going to make a Hello World sticker and an I'm coding sticker. So prepare for these because they are gonna be awesome. I am going to be getting a batch of these printed out. I'm going to have them with me at conferences, and it should be good. So I'm also going to try to figure out a way to make it possible for people to order them online some way, so that if you can't get to the same events I'm going to, you'll be able to get them in some other fashion if you want to get access to these stickers. So click the follow button and, pay attention. I will make sure that you guys know how to get them if you're interested. Also, you can check out our Discord, and S&B, yes, they are going to be on Redbubble. In fact, the Hello World one is already there, but don't worry, I need to do a couple more things with that. But yes, they will be out there. So I hope everybody's looking forward to that. So I am thrilled with these. They're exactly what I was hoping for. My favorite one is definitely this one with the dinosaur coding with his little grabbers because he can't reach the keyboard on his laptop. So it should be really awesome. Okay, and for anyone who is interested, if you check down below, I try to keep, I'm not great at keeping it up to date, but down in the panels below the stream here on Twitch, one of the panels talks about where I'm speaking. So if you do want to get these stickers, I will have some printed out and with me at Tech Bash, which is a conference actually in C# Fritz's area, funny enough. And I will be giving 2 presentations there in October. So if you want to catch me there, I will have stickers on me and can pass them out. If you aren't going to run into me at some place where I'm going to be speaking, the best way to get the stickers is going to be online somewhere. And yes, S&B will probably be Redbubble, although I may also set up a Streamlabs merchandise store. I'll figure out which one will give you all the better deal, because I know that for people that are, don't live near me, I don't want it to be expensive, so I want to make sure that I find whatever the cheapest option is for people to get stickers. So, and, whatever other stuff they want with cool DevChatter dinosaurs on them. Okay, so back into our code. So, Zultralord, I already saw that issue. This is a request for me. This needs a label really quickly. We'll call that a code improvement, and I'm going to mark that as on stream, not because I'm going to do it on stream, but because I want people to know, hey, that's one claimed by Brendan. So no one else does it. Although I guess you guys could do it if you want, but you're unlikely to. Okay, so here is what I want to talk to everybody about. So the project we're building on this stream started out as a console application little chatbot. We had a lot of fun with it. We built some interesting games. So the bot actually has a number of games that it can play. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to take that console application, translate it to the web. And we started to do that. And the first thing we ran into is that we needed to have some kind of persistence in our tracking of time so that we could have nice ways of getting back to work that we were doing. So in order to do that, we went and we grabbed a tool called Hangfire. And I actually like Hangfire a lot, so before I remove it, I want to make sure that people know I'm not bashing it. It does a lot of neat stuff. It's very powerful, and it comes with a back-end page so you can manage things. And in addition to that, it creates a bunch of tables in your database so it can keep things persistent. So that when you put in a request for something to happen later, it automatically happens when you restart. Now, I might be able to do some configuring to try and make it so it doesn't do that persistence, but we don't really want the persistence here. So that's why I want to make a couple of changes. The change I want to make is I have a cat. So people were complaining at my last stream that the cat didn't show up. You guys might notice that corner up there just appearing. That would be the cat knocking around my green screen because he knows he can kind of push it. So he's just messing with it. So congratulations, everybody. Cat stream! Say hi to everybody, Jolie. So never program without your cat. It's important to have a pair programmer. And if you've ever heard of rubber duck debugging, this guy's really good at rubber duck debugging. You just explain whatever your problem is, and then he will tap, tap, tap on the keys. Tap, 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 tap. And then you'll be all set. He won't actually help with the code. DevChatter does not recommend putting cats on keyboards, as your code will not improve. A semi-transparent cat. Excellent. Hang on one second. Fixing the green screen. There we go. Okay, and back to the coding. Okay, so one cat interruption down. We'll see per programming. Thanks for that. Anyway, okay, so what we've mainly been working on lately is our overlay that we want to put on the screen. So what we've got is we have a web page that's actually on this screen. You can't really see it too well unless people type the commands that they know they can run in order to make stuff show up on my screen. But what we want to do is we want to switch to, instead of just having this be a web page, so over top of this in our streaming software we have a web page that's taking up 1920 by 1080, so filling the full screen. I want to change that to be a canvas so we can start drawing basically whatever we want with JavaScript all over this page. So we already have point-to-point communication, etc. Before we can do that, we're going to need some of that automation that we've been talking about, because we have a hangman game here in the chat and other things like that. We have a rock, paper, scissors game, and I'd like those to start appearing here on the screen. So as we do things, you might end up seeing, down below, below Visual Studio, beside me, like right over there, without my finger getting cut off, we might have results of games that are going on, or above the chat window, for example, we could show the hangman, and there's other interesting things like that that we could get away with as long as we have, our eventing structure working. So I've been putting off dealing with it because we were probably going to have to get rid of hangfire. So what I'm going to do is this. I am going to branch off of our overlay branch because I know that one's going to get merged in before this one, and I almost merged it in before we started this, but I didn't yet. So I'm going to call this overlay and remove hangfire. And I'm going to create a new branch. And once I do that, I can start writing whatever code I want, and I no longer have concerns about breaking anything else. So, step 1. I want to get rid of hangfire from the project. I'm going to replace it entirely. So what I'm going to do is I want to go and manage my NuGet packages on the solution. Hello, welcome everybody. I see a lot of familiar faces there in the chat. Welcome back, I Heart Coding. Glad you're here. So what I want to do is this. So by doing the solution, what it actually gives us is it lets us manage the packages across all of these projects and not just one at a time. So I want to go to hangfire, and I wanted to see which projects it was in. Looks like we kept it specific to just the web project. So I am going to uninstall it from the web project, which is of course going to break some dependencies. But I'm not terribly worried about that because we were going to rip them out and replace them anyway. So there's step 1. And I have some other work I need to do, I see, because we've got some other little bits in our NuGet that I was seeing there. I sent screenshot to Visual Studio team as Winamill fails to generate file. Oh, nice, Janiscu. So you're actually running some of the insider builds on the SDK. That is good. They always need assistance with that. Okay, so once we remove that, the thing that disappears is the ability to use the hangfire library. So we're going to go ahead and drop that. And you'll see that we still have... I Heart Coding. Yeah, I will absolutely do some Q&A at the end. So yeah, if you've got questions that are completely unrelated to what we're doing, yeah, just ask them at the end. It'll be good. I'm fully expecting the cat to just mess up my green screen like 20 times today. He's really wanting attention. And hello, Rubik's. Nice subscriber badge you got there. Okay, so here's what we have. Our hangfire automation system is the piece that we want to fix. We want to get rid of this. We want to replace it with a new one. So I don't want a hangfire automation system anymore. So what I think I'm going to do is maybe rename this and build it to work a little differently. So step one, we're just going to call this background automation. If I could type, got my letters out of order. Background automation system. That looks good. I do want it to still have a logger, so we're going to let it keep that piece. We're going to rename the constructor as well. And no, I'm not doing a full rename because I want things to fail in the places where they're used. So I'm going to lean on the compiler a little bit. And I mean, I can also do like find references, but I want to know I haven't been there yet. So I'm going to let the compiler tell us that things are broken. Okay, so for what we ended up having to do is, because the hangfire system did not have a polymorphic approach. So by that I mean you couldn't create the object you wanted and send in the right type in order for hangfire to know how you wanted it handled. We had to create this ugly switch statement I didn't like, and specifically say like, hey, do this type of operation, do that type of operation, where I would really have rather it accepted an object that just worked that way. So then I could put the decision of what we wanted at the creation instead of when it is used. And that's why we're building it this way. So if you're ever wondering where a switch is good, you want the switch to be at the initial decision of what you want. The initial decision of how you want the behavior to work. That's where you put your switch. And then you don't have any more switches. That's how you know you've followed a polymorphic approach. Okay, so I don't want this switch statement anymore, so I am actually just going to chop this whole thing. Goodbye. Okay, so now we just have this piece, which does nothing. So, step one, we're going to throw a new not implemented exception. Throw new not implemented, yep, that's the right one. And then by throwing a new non-implemented exception, we make sure that we come back here to fix this, because if I try to run this, first off, I'm going to feel stupid. Second, it's just going to throw an error that we're then going to be like, oh, whoops, yep, we forgot to wire that together. Okay, so this is how we're going to add an action. So we're going to say, hey, I want to add this action in, please use it. That's how this is going to work. What I then want to do is I want to have my tasks. So interval action has an is time to run. Now I have two options here. I can either make it so that when if a task runs only one time, or if it runs a number of times and then stops running, I can either have it signal that it needs to be removed, remove itself, or actively remove it. I have those three options. So what I want to do is I want to make it so that I'm leaning towards having this tell the automation system, hey, I'm done, you can pull me out. So we'll probably add that. So hang on, to do, make a loop that checks for 2 booleans. Is it time to run? Is it done running? Is it ready to remove? Okay, so I think those are the 2 values I want to check. So the first one is, you ready to run me? And the other one is, are you ready to get removed? So the nice part about this is, the automation system just deals with, hey, I understand the fact that I need to run stuff from time to time. I don't care what it is or when it needs to get completed. Gerald, I do play RPG games, both pen and paper as well as video games. I don't program them much on here, although we do have one side project for the bot. We want to build a MUD into it so that you all can play a text-based adventure together. So that is actually one of our projects. We have a branch that is dedicated to adding that feature to our bot. So if you are interested, that is something that you could actually help us out with. And welcome to everybody else who followed today. Before I jump too much further, and I apologize for the next delay here, thank you for giving me a moment to point this out. Before the stream started, our number of followers was 1337. So we were elite channel here on Twitch, and while I love all 7 of you for following, we are no longer elite, but that also does mean that everyone else is welcome to follow. So, but anyway, thank you for following, everybody. Do appreciate it. I just thought that was funny because we even got to the beginning of the stream and we were at 1337. No, Pyro, it's okay. Yeah, no need to unfollow. No need to unfollow. We don't need to be elite channel here. I was just kidding. All right. Okay. So this is the code we're going to add in here. We'll come back for that. And since we have to come back for this, that's when we're going to add in our to-do. Okay. Now let's jump over to our interval action again. I want to just get a look at a couple of things. So we added names and some other values to those. I think we added some of these because of the way Hangfire worked. So I think we might be able to simplify that, which I'm going to be happy about because there were a few things we had to modify to our structure to make Hangfire work, and there's nothing I dislike more than changing my code just to use a third-party tool. If you watch the code that we write here on stream, what I try to do... Excuse me. What I try to do is make it so that our application... how to phrase this... keeps all of our dependencies at arm's length. So we try and wrap them up inside of classes that keep them hidden away so we don't actually see them. An example for this, if you look over on our Solution Explorer, you'll notice that we keep all of our requests out to the Google API in its own library, and we access it using interfaces. We do the same thing with Twitch. So when we talk to Twitch, everything related to actually communicating with Twitch is in that class library. It is not allowed to be anywhere else in our code. So that is what we try and do here. Okay, so in an effort to undo what Hangfire got us to do, let's see. So a bot admin model. So this is our bot administration page. We posted to it. Running jobs, storage process list, already running jobs, macro job, and I'm going to remove these because I think this was some testing we were doing. So that is the way it is because we were trying to test how Hangfire works. So I think that might be all this page does. It is. So I'm actually going to get rid of that entire page. So goodbye, page. Nothing I like more than deleting code. Except maybe a nice MLT where the mutton is nice and lean. I really expected someone to get that reference. Okay. And I apologize again about this file. Hangfire. We're not adding hangfire. We're not using hangfire. That startup page is one of the things that needs the most work in our project. Nice, Rubik's. Well, I lost like a fully working script because of weird git stashing. Oh, man, yes. So you'll see me do git stash a lot on this stream. When I need to do things, I'll switch over to the git command line and I'll make all kinds of changes. And it's quite nice to be able to jump over and do that. But oh boy, do you need to be careful. It's really easy to mess things up. Okay, next thing I want to do, I want to get this file renamed. So we are going to rename the file to match the type name. Now I'm going to do a build. We're going to find out how much else is broken. So only pros work on one. Nice, Rubik's. Yes, nice. Yeah, I think you needed the kappa on that one. Okay, so we did a hasty just rip of hangfire right out of here. This is not like safe code for someone to actually check out, but I do want to commit before we move any further so I can see the minute changes we make. So, chopped out hangfire. And before I do that, I'm going to do a search for hangfire. And let me just make sure my find options were correct. I'll pull it on screen so you all can see it. Hangfire entire solution. I'm not doing anything weird with matching cases. We're looking at all file types and I didn't find anything. So I'm going to call that hangfire gone. So there is our quick chop. It's out. Wow, guys, please don't admit to only using one branch and stashing. Oh, and Rubik's. So there's a couple of reasons I don't use source tree. That's actually relevant. So everybody, if you don't know, this is GitHub Desktop. Is actually the tool that I am running here. That's what this is. That's GitHub Desktop. Part of the reason that I use GitHub Desktop is I use it only for the stream. So what that means is that when I pull this down, every library that you guys see here is always related to the stream. So if I decide to do a scrap project somewhere, then I'm just going to toss in Git and whatever. You guys don't have to, filter through that. You just see things related to the stream. Oh, sorry. Yeah, the bot's not running right now. Let me see if I can get it running. It's going to have some problems with hangfire still, so don't worry about that. But if you want a link to the wait, what? The bot didn't join. How did the bot not join? Did I really break stuff? Wow, apparently I really broke stuff when I yanked this out. Alright, so we'll get that one fixed. If you are looking for the Discord, there's a link in the panels below on Twitch. So if you take a look there, Hassan, you should be able to find that link. Or one of our regulars or a mod can probably post an invite link in chat if people can't find it. But yes, we do have a Discord. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Was it a hangfire job? I didn't think it was a hangfire job. Maybe it was. The bot itself should be a background worker. So this is our bot. Which it has an automated action system, and when it runs it, it fails, I bet is the problem. Does botmain run call that? Hang on. That is a great system. What does anything call add action? What? I don't believe that nothing calls add action. That's a lie. There we go. Okay, and it gets called in bot main. So here's the problem. It is bombing when we hit that, so I am going to remove that throw exception for now. We'll fix that later, but this should get the bot running. I just want to confirm that that's the reason it failed, and that we didn't pull out too much stuff. I wasn't... Okay, there it is. So Discord, GitHub... and if you want to check our old videos and everything on this channel, you can actually find a lot of them on YouTube or in the videos section here on Twitch. And bot fixed. I told you, it wasn't running through Hangfire. So, one sec. Okay. And you will all be happy to know that the cat is actually just sleeping over there now and not trying to help with the code. So that's always a plus. Okay. So, successfully fixed. C#.net. First off, I love your name. And second, yes, I do actually still recommend ReSharper, even with the latest VS 2017, as long as your computer doesn't get slowed down by it. So I know that ReSharper is working on the performance, but a lot of people have run into performance problems with running ReSharper with VS 2017, which I'm convinced is actually a problem of too many cooks in the kitchen. We've got, ReSharper and Visual Studio are now doing so much stuff at the same time with the same files that they basically fight, and it slows down. Because ReSharper wasn't as slow before, and now the Visual Studio is doing more things, it seems like ReSharper is slower now. So either ReSharper has gotten a lot bigger, which I don't think it has, maybe it has, or the two of them competing has slowed it down. But yes, I do still recommend it as long as your computer still runs fast with it. Yeah, see, so Ashnor disabled ReSharper because it was too slow. On my computer, it doesn't seem to slow it down, but I run a very beefy computer, so I think it's just a, find out with yours. And they do have a free trial, so if it slows down your computer too much, then don't end up purchasing it. But if it does help out and you, don't run into performance problems, then yeah, sure, go for it. Rubix. Okay, so the reason I use this, so this is GitHub Desktop. So one of the reasons is that I want to be running something that I'm not going to have any other stuff in it. For why I'm not running SourceTree, I used it in the past, and it was a little too invasive for me. So I would be willing to try it again, but it put stuff on my computer and made changes to my global Git settings on my machines without checking with me, which bothers me because it can have its own local settings without modifying my systems. So that problem I and a bunch of other developers ran into years ago with SourceTree, and so I'm distrustful of it now. As a minor thing, the other reason why I don't want to use it for the stream. Look at this window. What do you see about this? What's on here? The main things are I can switch projects, I can switch branches, I can switch between my branches I have local and remote, as well as pull requests. I can click publish branch sync and things like that. I have changes I can commit, I can look at a basic history, I can do commits. Now what's nice about that is everything's simple, everything's clean, and on a stream where we have varying skill levels of developers, what I don't want to do is show up with a tool that is as complex and as powerful as SourceTree. So SourceTree has a lot more options, a lot more things in it, and the problem is I think that would make it confusing for people. It's the same reason why I'm using this instead of the command line also. I want to have a visual that people can follow. So that is actually one of the reasons why. Also, it works pretty well, so why not? It sufficiently handles everything I need, and the spots where it doesn't, I revert back to a command line, but I was probably going to revert to the command line to do a lot of those things anyway. So And yeah, as Sven points out, you could also run Git Kraken. That is another one that's pretty good for these types of things. If you want to just go use Rider. Isn't that even cheaper in the long run? Yeah, Pyro, you probably could just run Rider. I actually have that on my computer as well, and it does run our project pretty nicely. Source tree has nice visuals, though, with trees. Yes, so as Rubik's pointed out, the one downside that this is missing is we don't have nice tree views. That's the one piece we're missing on GitHub Desktop that I would like to have, but there are other tools that could get us that if we need them. And I try to keep you guys more focused on the code and less on what I'm having to deal with on the Git side, so I like to keep that simple. However, I am intending to do some more complicated Git streams at some point where we actually do some stuff with Git and talk about it. So I will probably do an episode where we go and just dig into Git and I can talk about how it works. For anyone who doesn't know, a bunch of years ago I actually did a Pluralsight course on GitHub. So if you actually check out the GitHub course that's on Pluralsight, hi, I'm the author of that course. It was like quite a few years ago, so some of it's still relevant, some of it's out of date, but hey, still there. Git cat streams. Okay, so this is running again. The bot works and we can use it. So the bot is in chat. What it's not doing right now is it doesn't have any form of automation, because literally all we do right now is just log out this message that says, hey, we're attempting to add whatever automation piece we're trying to add. Okay. So we have now removed Hangfire. It's gone. Excuse me. Okay. And I'm going to remove all those usings we don't necessarily need, because what those usings were that I just removed, and the keyboard shortcut I did that was Control-RG, by the way. It cleans up usings. That's part of Visual Studio. And the reason why we had all those is previously, even though we wrote our code to be polymorphic, Hangfire didn't work well with that, so we actually had to have knowledge of what our objects were. We're not going to do that anymore. We're now going to run based on this. So I happen to know that this is getting used inside of our startup. We create one of these and we use it in the bot main. So it gets the automated action system right here. It is signed right there, and then down here we add an action to it, we add another action to it, but nowhere do we really tell it to start. So we'll figure that out. We might have it start when the first item's added to it, or we might require a start method to be called at the beginning. And that's where our automation can start happening. Okay. So let's go here. I'm going to go to our background automation system, and I want to add this to a collection. So I am assuming that this background automation system is going to survive and stick around after things start. I'm going to trust that since the bot main can do it, this one can as well. So let's give this a shot. I want to do a list of these. We're going to make a private read-only list of interval actions called... Alright guys, I'm going to get super creative on this one. Actions. Whew! Oh man, that took some thinking to come up with a name for that one. And what I'm going to do is I am going to come in here and I'm going to say actions.add. Okay, there we go. And let's see, who didn't I mention? Stool Penner, welcome. Wire, welcome. Dark Jeepers, welcome. Drumray, welcome. And Joker CRTV, welcome as well. Thank you for following, everybody. Greatly appreciated. It is the best way to get notified when our channel goes live. Okay, so we're gonna add that to our collection. Is this... Okay, as Hangfire, we were not automating, we were not unit testing this because the Hangfire dependency was on it. But this one doesn't need to leave here, so I'm gonna cut this out of this project. I'm gonna move it over to the core project. And I think I wanna, oh yes, it's going in automation. Perfect. Oh, and C#.net. Thank you for following as well. Okay, so this now lives in automation, which means we get to unit test it. So core, automation, and let's go ahead and create a folder for background automation system. So what you guys may not realize is I have a camera right about there. And then right behind that is actually my Solution Explorer. So when I look at Solution Explorer, it's like I'm looking into your soul. Hang on. I probably should upgrade my RAM. Blub, yes, upgrading RAM is always a good idea. Just download some RAM. Background automation system assuming control. Plans for making plugins that are plug and play. What do you mean, Pyro? What kind of plugins are you talking about? Because I thought about doing this as a library that did simple automation. So think just making a simpler version of Hangfire. Kevin was trying to convince me of that one day on stream. So I'm going to go with add action should. Do you have some add-in to show which keys you're hitting? Stool Panner, no, I'm not actually running one of those. The thing that always freaks me out about that is that I'm then going to go stupidly go do something off screen and you guys will like see all the keys I'm typing off screen, which has always seemed like a bit of a risk to me that I'm going to go like type in my bank account password and it's going to pop up on the screen. Not that I log into my bank account while I'm on stream, but you know. Like making a deal to add function to the bot itself. Oh, yes, Pyro. Yes, that is the plan. We do want to make it so that other people can extend the bot. So what I do want to change about this is I want to make it so all the games and everything that we build that's complicated are plugins for the bot. So that's part of the reason why we needed to have an automation system, is everything else can wire into the automation system. Everything else can wire into the commands. So essentially, at runtime, we just look to see... Oh, hang on. 1 second, Katrina. So that we can just look and see which plugins have they put in our library, like what is available right now, and essentially just give you those. So we want to make it so it's plug and play like that. So there you go, Katrina. Okay. So for anyone who doesn't know, and you're not a regular, what we just did there in the chat, I just helped Katrina out with, is if you are wondering when our streams are, maybe you live in, I don't know, Paris. You can just type schedule Paris and it'll print out the schedule for where you're going to be. Or maybe you're about to take a trip and you are going to be, I don't know, in Seattle, we'll say. Yeah, so I heart coding. If you need 2 words, surround them with quotes. So if you wanted like United Kingdom, you could surround it in quotes, but you could also do schedule UK and it can probably figure it out. Yeah, so exactly, Pyro. So we're not gonna do hot swapping where like the bot's running and you change out the features, but what we are gonna do is you can load it in and then run the bot and you'll have it. So the bot will have to restart, but that's what you'll be able to do once we get the plugin going. So yeah, everybody can check out the schedule in whatever time you need it, and you can know when our stream goes live. So remember, we stream 4 times a week. That's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So, Hassan, we're not building an ultimate bot. We're mostly just doing one as a fun program to work on together. We do want our bot to do a lot of ultimate things, because we think it's pretty awesome. But no, we're not expecting to go out there and be like, no one should be using the other bots, you should all be using ours. So, add action should... should... I'm just going to say run without error for now, because we don't have much on this one. There may not be much behavior for this, so we might just do that, and then that'll be the end of this one, because I can't think of anything that should automatically happen, unless it was like... Unless we did an action that we expected to trigger immediately. So we'll do a run without error, and then we'll do one more test that says it immediately runs an immediate run task. So we'll try that first. So step one is going to be creating our new background automation system. And I'm going to remove this piece here, because we're going to use a... Why doesn't it want that to be a using statement? Oh, maybe because I need to fix the name first. Hang on. I think I know the problem. Let's fix that namespace there. I'm actually just going to put it up there and force that thing. Oh! Oh, I'm an idiot. I know the problem. Okay, everybody. Fun lesson. That I don't think I've mentioned before in the stream, but is a very important one. You're going to run into this problem if you write in C# or .NET. Does anyone know what issue I just ran into? Let's see. Yeah. Okay. No takers. Alright, so here's the problem. This class and this namespace are the same. So C# actually has problems with that. So if I wanted to make this work, I could say that, and I could say using, whoops, yes equals that, and now I could create a new BAS. I kid you not, what I just did is totally valid. I could do this. This is not what I'm planning on doing, just for the record. But you might not know it is possible. Okay. So first off, that's a thing in C# that you may have never seen before. If you need to change a type name within a file, so let's say that you have two classes that have the same name and you need to use them both in the same file, you can alias one of them using a using statement, and for the rest of that file, you can use that class with the new namespace, so with the new name, so it's pretty cool. So people like this one, huh? Okay, but here's the problem we were running into. Because my namespace matched my class, I was going to have to always declare extra bit on the beginning of the namespace. So that's actually a requirement because C# could not tell the difference between my class and my namespace name. Now it's stupid because, of course, like, I didn't define anything after it, so I clearly wasn't using the namespace, I was using the class name, and... But... But that's one of the things that it's got in there. So all I need to do to fix it is this. I can just say tests on the end of that, and actually I'm just going to say automation system tests. And once I do that, and I fix this namespace, I can actually get rid of this code. I no longer need that alias. Which also, by the way, if you ever end up doing something like I do, where you accidentally made a name that was too long, you also could do this. You could leave it here because you thought that name was too long. And you could just be like boom, and you're like, that name was too long, I didn't want it going across multiple lines, so I shortened it to this, and you can get away with that kind of thing. So, imagine the power. So, you are now able to do that, so congratulations. Oh, that is funny, it wants to fix it for me. Get rid of that, and get rid of that. There we go. Perfect. Now, why did I leave this lame name that we've got here? Well, that's because I'm going to fix it. So now that we've got it in here, I want this name to be simpler. I was thinking this was going to be more tied into our background worker. It's not, so we're simplifying the name. Why would I want that to be public? I'm not sure why it thinks I want that to be public. Okay, so that's a little simpler. There's our chat clients collection. We don't care about it. This is our logger adapter. So for this, I am going to create a new mock iLogger adapter of that type, which is nasty that I have to do that. Object var logger adapter that, pass them in, boom. Now I'm going to make this a method. So I'm going to extract out a method that's called get test automation system, and I will have it return this. So that equals that, and this gets returned. Whoops. There we go. Okay, so that should be pretty good. You know, when the developers of Microsoft decided on the alias function, surely they reached a point and thought this probably isn't needed. Maybe it's just my that's entirely possible. I heart coding. There are a lot of features that we debate whether or not they're going to be used. Mage, welcome. Yes, we're updating the bot. We're actually giving it a new automation system so that it can run its games again. How hard is it to get into programming? Alza 14, that depends on your dedication and how much you already know. It's not that hard to get into programming. So programming is a challenging thing. I don't want to diminish that, and I want to make sure that anybody who is in here that has ever struggled with programming knows programming's challenging. We all struggle with it. I struggle with it. Everybody struggles with it. But we all get better at it, and we work hard to improve ourselves as programmers. If you are interested in learning how to code, I actually have a recommendation, which in order to give you that recommendation, I need to run my bot so that it can help me out with stuff. Seb the Third, welcome. Nice egg. If you are interested, check out our Learn to Code in C# streams, which we do live, where we have thank you, Bill and Steve, for doing that dance, and thank you, Seb, for the 2-month resub. Greatly appreciated. You are well on the way to hatching that egg. So what I was going to say, Ailes, is we have a Learn to Code event that we do here. So we have a number of episodes. There are 3 more upcoming, and we've already recorded some. So if you follow that link, you can actually watch the videos of our previous ones and follow along. We're actually teaching code to people that want to learn C#. There are a lot of, so as Mage mentioned, there are a lot of good languages. Python, C#, it really comes down to what you want to do with programming for what you learn. If you are interested, we'd be glad to help you, but there are also tons of resources. There's YouTube, there are tutorials to follow along with, there's all kinds of awesome stuff. And if you do want to talk with us about that, or anybody else who is learning C# and programming with us, go ahead and check out our Discord, because I do know some of the other people that are learning C# are over in our Discord, and you can chat and discuss resources and things like that that you want to use in order to improve your understanding of programming. So there are actually a bunch of us that are over there, and we talk about coding. So if you do want to get involved in those discussions, that's the place to do it. I really appreciate the compliment there, Bitlaw. Yes, so we teach programming here on Twitch, and we don't charge anybody for it. And thank you for following, Ailes. So we want to promote a big programming community. I love having beginner programmers around. You would be amazed how nice it is to have beginners around. They have such, nice new insights on ideas. They challenge your understanding of things. So it's always great to have beginners around. Every community needs them. We want them. They're great. And it's, pretty nice. That was either a compliment to you or an insult to the rest. No. I heard coding. No, it's actually a compliment for everybody that's here, because I will actually tell you, is SNB here, and Katrina and a bunch of other people. So there are actually a lot of our regulars show up to the Learn to Code streams, even though they already know C# and programming, and they actually show up and they help the other beginners. They answer questions. As I said at the beginning of the stream, DevChatter is not just me, it is us. We are a community. I may be the host of the DevChatter Twitch stream, but DevChatter is more than just me. There are a lot of people that make this community good, and so that's what we like about it, is that there's engagement from a number of different people. So if you guys ask a question in chat, you might direct it at me, but that doesn't mean that I'm the only person that's going to answer the question. So I really appreciate it. So I'm glad people like the stream, and how many people have the hatched egg? That is the real question. I have the hatched egg. There might be a place to look it up. So what Crimson Green's talking about over there in the chat, we added new subscriber badges to the channel. So 3-month subscriptions get the hatched egg, Seb the Third. And so anybody that subscribes to the channel, you'll see either our dino egg there or the hatched dino egg. And the place that comes from is that our channel mascot is that little T-Rex with his little grabbers, because his arms are too short to hold up his hype sign, so he's gotta use these little grabbers to hold the hype sign above his head. And real quick, sorry for mentioning this for the second time on the stream, but I do want to let people know, because I think it's awesome. We've got stickers coming, so I haven't placed my order yet because I just got these this morning, but the artist that does our emotes and sub badges also got me our stickers this morning. So we're going to get these printed up. I will have them on my laptop, and I will be bringing stickers with me to conferences and things like that. And if you are not local to me, so can't get to the same events that I go to, I will be putting these out on like our merchant, like some kind of a merchandise store, or Redbubble and some other places like that. I'll find which ones have like the cheapest prices for things, because they're just stickers, and I don't want people to have to pay a bunch for that. But if you are interested in getting stickers for your laptop, either go to an event that I'm going to. I speak regionally, so I speak eastern part of the US into the Midwest and everything like that. So you can catch me Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, down in Kentucky, various other places. And if you do go to one of those events where I'm speaking, you can find me, and I will have stickers with me. So, should be awesome. Okay, and I Heart Coding, I do want to cross the Atlantic for some conferences. It's just tough on my scheduling, because before I submit to those conferences, I want to make sure that I definitely can make it, because I don't want them to be like, oh yeah, we arranged for you to fly out, and it's like, oh, I can't, it's tough to make those trips. So, but I am planning on trying to do some visits to Europe in 2019. So I want to try and get to, there are a couple of conferences I want to do in Germany, the UK, There's one I need to get to in Belgium, so we'll see if I can get to those. And if there are conferences in your area that you want me to speak at, do send me a message either here on Twitch or on Twitter or on Discord. You can contact me in any of those places. The funny thing is, Ailes, so you comment about being in Sweden. I was actually going to be speaking at a conference in Sweden, and then so my wife successfully, we managed to get her pregnant and had a kid, and that was like, oh, never mind, I'm not going to Sweden. So funny enough, I was planning on doing a conference in Sweden, but that got canceled. So, but yay kid, woohoo! He's an awesome kid. All right, so back to coding, because that's what we're all here for. So our automation system that we are doing today, we want to add an action to it, and the first test we're doing is just a run without error. And I like to do these because I just want to make sure that we're not going to have any problems. We'll get it going, and then after that, we'll do the next test where we verify that a thing we added actually ran. And that'll be the next test that we want to do. Okay, so Mage, you live in Portugal. There aren't many conferences about programming. You have Web Summit, but that's just one. Yeah, I know a lot of the conferences here in the U.S. I don't, and Canada, obviously, but I don't know a lot of the conferences in Europe. So if you guys let me know about them, I can look into them. I do know a lot of Microsoft MVPs that probably run conferences in Europe, so I probably can reach out to people that way as well. Yes, Rubik's, people really do run unit tests. Yeah, Pyro. I do hope the kid learns to program also. So for anyone who doesn't know, I will mention, I am actually a second-generation programmer. My father was a programmer, and I would not complain if my son were also a programmer. It's a fun career. New currency update. I'm gonna call it a fake action. So we're going to make a new type called a fake action. Oh, you know what? We're just going to mock it. Who am I kidding? What's the type that we want? I interval action. New mock of an I interval action object. Why is it not with the... Oh, okay. No, it's fine. Okay, so we're going to create this. We're going to pass it in. So that should work fine for run without error. Son, you can be anything you want to be in life. Just make sure it has something to do with PCs and writing lines on the screen. No, Rubik's, I'm not actually going to be like that. Yeah, I worked on my PC. The biggest thing that I could say that... so, first off, if he does something that, that isn't, that doesn't fit what I want him to do, sure, fine, whatever. He is welcome to do whatever he wants. It is his life. But I will say, I do hope he in some ways makes a positive impact on the world, as that generally is my approach as well, which again, for anyone who does know me, thing I want to do most in life, positive impact on humanity and the world. So, again, welcome to DevChatter, where I'm making a positive, can you be a computer doctor? No! Mage, I would be totally happy with doctor. That would be perfectly fine. The only things I wouldn't be okay with is don't go into IT by all means. Don't become a Twitch streamer. Don't Dr. DevChatter. Actually, I was trying to bash a guy that I would say is in IT in the stream. I was just kidding. Okay. So run without error works fine. Next one, we want to do the same basic thing, but this time, instead of doing run without error, yeah, I was bashing Crimson Green. See, they wouldn't have known if you didn't say it, Crimson. Selling drugs is fine. Yes. If by that you mean a pharmacist, Rubik's, a pharmacist. They're like legal drug dealers. Zultralord, very nice, very nice. So I will say I actually used to be a Linux guy. I used to run Linux. I ran Gen 2 Linux for quite a few years. I was a crazy person. That was a... Alright, so not just run without error, but immediately run... Okay, so add action should immediately check if action should immediately try to run the action. Given action ready. Given ready action? We'll say given ready action. Should immediately try to run the action given a ready action. Okay, so what that means is that I now need to set up an expectation. So anyone who doesn't know what a mock is, because these unit tests could get confusing if you don't know what that is, what is going to happen is I need to set up the expectation for what this thing should do. So a mock is basically like we create on the fly like an object that is the right type, but isn't really that object. It's kind of like a test one. And what we're able to do is we're able to tell it, hey, when someone does this to you, respond in this way. So we're kind of programming the object on the fly for our test. So I want to go ahead and say, whoops, not on that one, on this one. I want to say mock dot setup and I want to say when your is time to run is called, return true. Okay, so this given that I wrote here in my test name, this is setting up the given. So that is saying whenever this mock is called, it's always going to return true for is it time to run. Now we need to verify. So that was the right-hand side of our test name. Now we want the left-hand side of our test name, which is immediately try to run the action. So what I need to do now is I need to say mock.verify, and I want to say x.invoke. So that's the method that these have is their invoke method, and that's running it. And we want to say, oh, whoops, times once. So we want to make sure that it calls this one time. Now, my one concern here is timing. We're going to add this to the collection, but it may not immediately happen. So what I want to do is I'm going to build a special thing into our automation system. So remember, our automation system, and I want to talk to you a little bit about this because it's an important concept. Oops, not that one. This. Our automation system implements an iAutomated action system interface. Now this interface has an add action method, and that's it. Right now, that's all it's going to have. But then, what is going to happen is it's going to have a method running on itself. Or it might have a start method. The interface might get a start. But what it's not going to have is a special, like, force run. I am willing to put on this a force run method. So that's what is going to happen that is unique to this version. The implementation is going to have it. So we're going to do a public void force run all actions. Ready actions, force run all ready actions. And then I was going to say this is a method used for testing as well as debug for testing, debugging, and special scenarios only, not for normal usage. Okay, so we're going to put that on there just to make it clear to anybody. Oh, I wrote force. Yep, good call. Force run. Boom, good job, Pyro. Yep, I fixed it. Thank you for the for catching that, everyone. Which unit tests and mocks do you use? Fritz, for example, uses NUnit and MOQ. I am using XUnit, which I'm surprised Fritz is using NUnit. He must just not have wanted to switch. NUnit was commonly used with the full .NET framework, and the ASP.NET team, when they were switching to .NET Core, started almost primarily using XUnit. So that's the one I switched to for all my ASP.NET stuff. So when I do ASP.NET stuff, I run XUnit because I know that's one that people are going to be familiar with. And then for my mocking, I use MOQ also, though I've used various others as well. Type mock, Rhino mocks, Just mock. I've used a lot of mocking frameworks. There are plenty of good ones. Pick the one whose syntax you like and go with it. Hey everyone, welcome. Gog, and I'm not going to try to finish that, but I am having a great day, thank you. Stool penner, that's possible. No problem. Yeah. I used NUnit for a long time. I've used MS Test. Lots of good unit testing frameworks out there. Again, it's one of those things, comes down to preference. Whatever you like, use that one, and you will be in good shape. Okay, so immediately try to run the action given. So we're going to do that. It's not going to work unless we call that method. So we're going to say automated action system force run ready actions. Now the cool thing, for anyone who knows much about unit testing, Mage, I don't know what you're talking about, but we can talk about that. So for anyone who knows much about unit testing, the trick with unit testing is you want your tests to fail sometimes. So run without error works just fine. That one we were good with succeeding right off the bat. But this one we wanted to fail. Now the reason we want this to fail is because we haven't actually written the code yet. So if we take a look at this method, you'll notice it doesn't actually do anything. So that's why it fails. If we read the reason for the exception, you'll see that it is a mock exception. That's kind of hard to read there, but let me go ahead and unhide that a little bit. There we go. So we expected invocation on the mock once, but was 0. So that means invoke was never called. So what we want to do now is actually make this run. So, we want to make a private method. We're going to make this private method be a private void that is run all ready actions. Run all ready actions. Perfect. And the reason why is that this is force run already actions, this is run already actions. So this is going to be run on some kind of timed basis, whether that be don't forget to dance, everybody. Sub! Everybody spam some of those DevChatter hype emotes in there. And people were wondering if there was someone else with a hatched egg. It looks like Greendolf has a hatched egg. Glad to hear it, Greendolf. We're not using fluent assertions right now, but glad you do like that. So, all the sub-chat love. My name is Trolling Attempt a few weeks ago. Oh! I succeeded at reading it days ago. Awesome. Well, glad to hear it. And yes, Greendolf just that was subscribed for 3 months in a row. So that is Greendolf hatching the eggs. So well done, Greendolf. Okay, so run all ready actions is a pretty simple thing. There's a lot of ways I could do this. I could do this as a for each loop. I could do this with some fancy link. I'm going to write this in a way that's not as, clever. We're just going to do a basic one. And the reason for that is that I don't want some messy thing. So we're going to say ready actions equals actions dot where x dot is it time to run. Okay, so now we've got that, and then I want to say for each ready action, and everything somehow came to a crawl. Very good. I'm going to call that an action. Yeah, sorry. There we go. Don't hold control and scroll at the same time. You'll regret it. It's time to run. Wait, is time to run? Where is time to run? I think this is right. I guess it could be it's time to run, but we're just doing is time to run because we like is. So being verbs are commonly used as Boolean names, Crimson. So that's why we went with that one. Command delete star from tables. Thanks, Crimson. Action dot invoke. Okay. Yeah, I haven't built the feature for SQL injection yet, Crimson. Once I do get SQL injection built in so that you can hack the bot, I will let you know so you can do that. Okay, so now I'm going to call that. So normally that's only going to be called from within a loop inside of here. A loop, or maybe we might do it with async. I think I might be able to do an async approach to our automated action system. We'll see. If I can, that would be really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my keyboard shortcut, run our unit tests again, and we'll see what we get. There we go. Green. Perfect. Dino async. Actually, Janiscu, the other ones that we're planning on, there are actually a lot that we're planning on getting. So we're going to have things like DevChatter, and various other stuff like that. Probably various other things, because we need like a crying dinosaur emote and wait, what? Decha? No, DevChatter hype. And yes, we need an async and an await. I will tell you one of the ones I'm planning on getting. I am gonna get these, just so no one is surprised. We're gonna get DevChatter hello and DevChatter world, so we can have two dinosaurs side by side holding up a hello and a world sign. So if we ever get partner here on Twitch, which by the way, the only requirement to getting partner that we are lacking is average number of viewers. So if you want us to be able to get to that point, tell your friends about DevChatter. Get them here watching. Because if we get enough people here live, we'll be able to get cool things like Hello World emotes that you can use anywhere on the internet. And by internet, I mean Twitch. Anywhere on Twitch. And by anywhere on Twitch, I mean anywhere on Twitch where you can use emotes on chat. What do you think? DevChatter, should I go to Sebastian Bergman's PHP unit talk here in... It's free entry. He's going to talk about Rubix. If you're planning on using PHP, my answer would be yes. Why not? Going to get fiber. Here's the only way to know. Well, you have average around 40 to 50. Should be plenty for partner, I think. No, Pyro. They want 75 now. So they upped partners. So you got to actually get to some pretty big numbers. So we're not terribly far from that, but it is enough that we do need to try and recruit. So Twitch is forcing me to go out and do marketing, and I don't want to market. I want to program. So, oh, Janiscu, that is going to be awesome if you're switching up to fiber. That's going to be sweet. And yes, Rubik's, we are fairly consistent here. Program marketing. Janisko, I actually do. I have buttons on my Stream Deck that automatically send out tweets. I'm not kidding. So, see, I have this like little thing that's got all kinds of buttons on it. So, if I click, I'm not gonna click it, but like I've got a button right there that I keep locked down in a folder that sends out tweets. So, if I do need to automatically tweet something, I can. I also have buttons that do things like automatically rate us into other programming streamers. But it requires that that those programming streamers actually be live. So then we could actually just go and be like, wham! So there you go, Pyro. That's a good way to get the bot banned. So if your cat runs around, you'll start tweeting. Yeah, exactly, Stoolpenner. There is nerdy level, and then there is the I have a button for automatic tweeting. Yes, Rubik's. I have buttons for all kinds of things. And in fact, I've been looking into how I can program custom actions on my Stream Deck. I wanted to be able to post into our Discord as well. So we'll see how well that works. I don't know where that button is, but I will tell you that my wife would be a little bit annoyed if I had a button to get a girlfriend. That wouldn't go too well. She'd be upset about that one, I think. Gonna post some links there real fast. I'm trying to. I want a button to pour me cold water and bring me vanilla ice cream. Ooh, that sounds nice. Much appreciated, Rubik's. So if people want to tweet out about DevChatter, I have no problem with that. I also wouldn't have any problem with other marketing and stuff like that. What do I use for task management? Bogs. A variety of things, actually. For doing project work, I am a fan of using Trello. It works well enough for a lot of things for project work. Specifically within our project here, I use the issues in GitHub, and the reason I do this is that it is easy for all of you to add additional things and requests to these, and it gets good visibility and it's tied closer to the project. So that's why I use these here. And then for managing my own tasks, I actually keep them synchronized between my browser and my phone so that I get all the alerts and everything and I can add them on there. So I have shared task management tools, for example, so that I can share things with my wife as well. So our shopping lists, for example, are shared to-do lists between us of things that we need to buy. That way, if I'm at the store, I start checking them off. Then my wife knows that she doesn't need to go to the store because I'm already marking things off the list. So we don't, for example, both go to the store and buy milk. That would be bad. We would have tons of milk that would then spoil. Hack plan is nice to you. How long? Stoolpenner. So most of our streams are 2 to 3 hours. And it varies based on the stream. Our longest stream so far was a 5-hour stream that we did on a Thursday. What is the thought? I was about to mention that, I mean, it's one-to-one copy of Trello, a Kanban board. Oh, that's pretty nice. Funny enough, before Trello existed, I actually worked at a consulting firm where we did a side project that was actually a Kanban board. We took a different approach to ours, and in fact, some of the people that knew that it existed, because we had it in like a preview state, we'll say, where it was live, and you could use it, but we never finished and released it as a product. So I actually know some people that were using our preview for like years after we had stopped development on it, so it was kind of funny. Crimson Green, yes, today is a Thursday, which means it is possible for me to go longer today. Related question, how do you keep annotate areas you are learning as you work? So for learning things, I do it, so you're going to love this. I do a technique called, ooh, look, a squirrel. That's not actually an official name of it, but I very much am one of those people that I'm always learning so many things that I'm looking in all directions at new stuff to learn. So one of the best ways that I've found to actually focus myself on learning a specific thing is I do a project on it. So one of the nice things with DevChatter is I was doing projects anyway. Spartan Guitar, welcome. Thanks for following. For some reason I thought you were already following, but welcome anyway. So the idea is that I was already doing projects on my own. I just wasn't like publicly doing them in front of everybody on a stream where I can make mistakes. But now I am. Rubik's. Do I work with Jira? I try not to. I should check out Hack and Plan. It's free too, and it's really nice and easy. Pyro, I will take a look at that. Pyro, are you in our Discord? If you are, send a message into our Discord saying that. Actually, I'm just going to do that. Right there. Do corporations look at developers' GitHubs before giving them the job? Mage, yes. Yes, they will. In other words, when you apply, do you link your GitHub so that you can view their project? Yes. So I can tell you without doubt that when I worked at various companies in the past, I've done a lot of recruiting. I've recruited for the top level engineers at organizations all the way down to the interns, and I can tell you, regardless of what level you're on, if you list your GitHub, even if all you've got is a couple of side projects, you've got a couple of points in your favor just for having your GitHub listed and having any projects that you've worked on. It is a good idea to have your GitHub on there, especially if you've done any open source projects or even contributed one or two things to an open source project. That's actually really useful. And yes, Seb, that is actually true. So even when I make mistakes here on the stream, I actually still find it to be a good thing. And part of the reason why, if anyone's willing to admit it in the chat room, does anyone in here ever feel like you're not good enough to be doing these things? You've got, everybody knows it's called imposter syndrome. Like, you feel like you're not as good as people seem to maybe be thinking you are, and you feel like you probably shouldn't be where you are because maybe you're not that good. And if you don't want to admit that, obviously I understand, because you got imposter syndrome. But I will also tell you that some of the feedback that I get from our viewers is that they love the fact that I can come here on the stream. So this is especially from the people that know, that have known me before I did DevChatter. I've gotten a lot of feedback from them about how happy they are about the fact that I come on here and I make mistakes in front of everyone, and I say I don't know, and how powerful those words are, because we all don't have the same information. And so it's funny, one of the guys that I worked with a bunch of years ago and really looked up to me, messaged me, and he was like, hey, don't take offense to this, but I love watching you make mistakes, because it makes me feel better about myself as a coder, because I realize, hey, this guy I looked up to when I worked here, it turns out he's human too. And it's like, yeah, no, we all are, and we all have those thoughts, and it's okay to not be the greatest developer at whatever, because we all know different stuff. And so you need to be able to admit, I don't know that piece, and feel safe about it. So if you ever do feel like that, this is a place we will, like, if you don't know something, we're not going to make fun of you about it. We all don't know a lot of things, so that's why we're trying to get better at stuff. You have a question about when I should use composition over inheritance and vice versa. Twiddly doof. I love that question, and I want to talk about it. Ask me that question again. Ask me about that. I do want to talk about it. Rubik's. No, I'm not a big fan of Jira. I'm not a fan of tools that force me into their workflow, and Jira has done that to me in the past. Always had imposter syndrome. Yeah, I heart coding. There are a whole bunch of us that do. I always get a twinge of it before I go speak at a conference, because I'm usually... Okay, I'm going to give you guys a story in a minute. Dude, I'm just leering. I just don't think it's really about it. That's my trick. Everybody in my house thinks I'm a bad dev. Oh, very nice, Seb. No one will make you do extra work if they think you're a bad dev. That's true. You're not a programmer. When I watch pros program on stream, I notice how little I know. Oh, well, that's fair, Pyro. Especially while you're learning, the amount of knowledge that professional developers have is going to seem overwhelming. Same, but you look at the nice programs, you feel good. How do you know someone is very experienced and easy to work with? Oh, yes, Spartan, absolutely. That is a great point. So when I have interviewed people in the past and I ask them questions about things, or I ask them to program something or work with someone on something, they're allowed to ask me, they're allowed to ask anybody else, they're allowed to Google it. The entire point is that developers don't know everything. You should be asking, you should know who to ask, you should know what to ask, and it's actually great to ask. It's much better to Google something and get it right than to have just guessed wrong. So I never feel bad about Googling for stuff, looking up error messages, or pulling up documentation in front of any of you guys here on the stream, because that's what real programmers do. We search for the answers of things. I don't know everything. I am not, like, heck, my brain is not Wikipedia, and guess what? Even Wikipedia doesn't know everything. You can write a Hello World exam and then I will laugh. Oh, yeah, Pyro, that's a yes. If you're a senior programmer and you can't write Hello World, that's pretty bad. Ready for story. Yeah, I will get to that story in a moment. Hello World, example programming comes when you start the concept. It's about surrounding yourself with coworkers, companies, culture, sports. Yes, exactly, Boggs, exactly. You want to have a community around you that supports your learning. You want to have a community that makes it so that you can be better and won't be critical of you about stuff. You do not always want to be the smartest developer in the room. That is why I'm here with all of you, because you all know plenty of stuff I don't know and help me get better. And yes, I heart coding, exactly. So we all go into rooms feeling like, oh man, I hope I'm not the person in this room that is the only one that doesn't know X. And yes, exactly. Programmers are problem solvers. We're efficiency experts. We try to find good solutions to problems. And Greendorf, that is a perfect explanation. You're not super technical, you just know how to Google well. Oh, wow. I heart coding, that sounds painful. Must have been some kind of a defense job or something like that. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so some of you may have heard this story before, but I want to tell you a little story about nervousness and imposter syndrome. So here's the story. What year was it? It was 2017 in January, so a little more than a year and a half ago. I was giving a presentation called What's New in C#, and it was a talk at a conference called CodeMash. And that takes place in Northeast Ohio in the middle of winter, so there's often a blizzard and we all get snowed in, but it's a water park, so it's fun. So I go into my talk and I'm figuring like, hey, yeah, you know, there's going to be some people there, whatever. I'm not a Microsoft employee, you know, I'm a former MVP, so like, you know, there are some people that know who I am regionally, but like not tons of people, so I didn't expect my talk to be very crowded. I expected, you know, some people to be in there. And I wasn't sure who was going to be in there. So anyway, I show up for my talk right before, like maybe 5 minutes before the previous session is over, because I want to be able to get set up with my laptop, make sure all the technical stuff is there. So I show up, I don't actually walk in, I don't want to interrupt the guy that's speaking. And while I'm standing around, I'm noticing a bunch of people walking into the room and sitting down at the end of his session. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe there are people showing up for my talk. Well, alright, so I guess I'm going to have some people in here. And then his session wraps up, and a whole crowd comes in from the other door, including John Skeet walks in. So for anybody who doesn't know who John Skeet is, probably outside of Microsoft employees, he's probably the guy that knows C# better than anyone else. And John goes and he sits down right in the middle of the room. Like, you know, just straight out in front of me. So like my podium's there and it's like, and then there's John Skeet, like right there. And so I'm like, well, this is gonna be fun. So like I've met him, you know, I've you know, he's been going to CodeMash for years. I've played board games with him. He's a cool guy. But it's still nerve-wracking when like John Skeet walks into the room. And it's like, crap, I'm talking about C#, and someone that knows C# better than I am is sitting in the room? Well, this is gonna be fun. All right, Brendan, it's time for don't screw up mode. Don't make any mistakes. And anyway, so I'm going over my slides, getting everything set up, and getting everything ready on my laptop. And while I'm doing this, more and more people just keep crowding in. And eventually all the seats get filled, and I'm like, oh man, this is crowded. And then people start lining up along the walls and along the back, and people start sitting on the floor in the aisles. And then I notice crowds out in the hallways. I'm like, oh God, there are so many people here. And that's what I'm just like, about as nervous as I can possibly get. And so I can tell you, I get in that situation, I'm like, well, I'm screwed. Shouldn't have done this, man. I'm going to say something. I'm going to sound like an idiot. And I'm like, well, nothing I can do now. I'm already standing up in the middle of the room. So I did my talk. John Skeet actually asked a couple of questions while I was giving my presentation. And he actually chimed in one time about a feature I was talking about, and I was like, and I replied back to him. I was like, oh no, I don't want to talk about that because I don't want people to do that. And he's like, oh yeah, that's a good point. He's like, I'm actually doing something with that in my presentation tomorrow. And anyway, so then I do my whole talk, and at the end of it, a developer that I really respect, she tweets on the internet about how great the talk was. John Skeet comes up afterwards to talk to me and tell me how much he enjoyed the talk, and a bunch of other people come up and say the same thing. Then I'm walking through the halls the whole time, and people just coming up to me, and like people are like, "Are you paying these guys?" Like, and I'm like, "No." And so interestingly, apparently that's the best talk I've ever given in my career of talking at conferences for a decade. The best talk I ever gave was apparently the one while John Skeet was in the room. So I don't know if it's like, yeah, you get your nerves going, you suddenly do better or what, but it was crazy. The neat thing was, yeah, it freaked me the heck out. And I was sitting there the whole time, I'm like, they know so much more than I. And I'm like, I don't know anything compared to John Skeet. But the trick is, and this is the thing that I think people need to know, because I want you to understand that it is scary to go and give a talk in front of people. I will not tell you otherwise. It is scary. But I want to also give you the confidence to do it, because what I can tell you is no one in that audience was going there to see me mess up. No one was there to be like, hey, I hope Brendan looks like an idiot. No, they were all there because they're like, hey, I want to see what Brendan has to say on this topic. Even John Skeet was there for that reason. He wanted to see how I presented it, what I said about it. And so the idea is that even though you might be nervous, you got to remember the audience is not against you. They are right there on your side the whole time. They want you to succeed. They want to see a good presentation. They want to learn something. And that's actually the same thing that I tell myself when I talk with all of you, is you're not here to watch me mess up. You are here to support me and help me because you want good content. You want to have fun. You want to enjoy this stream. So the neat thing was, John Skeet actually the next day had a talk in the grand ballroom at the conference. So like the huge massive room that, you know, could fit like four times as many people as my talk had could all fill into his. And funny thing is, he gets up on stage, introduces himself, says what he's going to be doing, and then he asks the audience a question. He says, hey, did anyone go to Brendan's talk yesterday? And he's like, if not, you really should have. It was great. And the nice thing is he set me up for all the things I'm going to talk about here today. So anybody that went to that, you're actually going to see me abuse the features that Brendan told you about yesterday. So the funny thing is, the feature that he brought up while I was talking that I didn't mention, because I didn't want people to abuse it, he then goes and shows you the horrible things that you can do with it. So in his talk. So I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, oh, hey, look, there's the thing that he did. So I thought it was kind of neat. Because, like, it's not like John Skeet's saying, like, oh, Brendan knows C# better than I do, because obviously I don't. But he's, you know, just like, it's like, no, he's like, people are actually good. So, like, if I go to someone's talk and I see you give a good talk on some topic, awesome. I'm going to be like, hey, yeah, I saw, you know, I Heart Coding's talk on C# and I thought it was really good. Does that mean that I'm saying I Heart Coding is this massive expert that knows everything about C#? No, that's not what I said. But I said that you gave a good talk on it. And so that's the cool thing, is that, like, the whole community is, you know, supporting each other. And so the best thing I can tell anyone, work in a place that is supporting you as a developer, that understands that you don't know everything there is to know, and that any time you say I don't know, that's okay, and you just need to learn the new thing. And so we try to be in supporting environments. Don't let imposter syndrome get you down. We all feel it. I felt it. I'm sure John Skeet feels it, to be honest, because we all throw him up on, like, the highest pedestal in the world. So I expect even he does get it to a point, because people expect him to know basically, like, everything. And I can also tell you that whenever I am at conferences, I see him ask questions to the C# team. So clearly there are things they know that he doesn't. So it's kind of fun. But that's the story I wanted to tell you guys. Great story there. Everyone's talking about 60 to 70 people. He doesn't seem nervous. Yeah, exactly, Rubik's. But the exact reason why I don't feel nervous about all of you being here is that, again, as I mentioned, you're not here trying to watch me fail. You're all here because you want to discuss C# and watch us code together. What sorts of things do you talk about within C#? So that talk was a what's new in C#. So I talked about the things in C# 6 and 7 that people could be using immediately. And I do those kinds of talks regularly, but there are other talks I do on other topics. But that's one of my favorites because there's always cool new stuff coming out. And what I like to do is I do about 80 to 90% of the talk is stuff that is currently available and you can use, and only about 10% of my talk is things that are coming in the future. And the reason I do that is that I like to give people stuff that they can use today. I don't want to tell you about the thing that like 6 months from now you'll be able to use, but you've forgotten about. So that's one of the things I like to do. Were you talking about structuring unit tests? Twiddly doof. I will be talking about that, and I have done talks about structuring unit tests. Rubik's, to be frank, it's different to talk to a camera and seeing 60 people. That's also very true, Pyro. We're going to place that thinks a developer is someone who fixes printers. That's impressive, BitLaw. Let's see, can you find my talks on YouTube? I Heart Coding. I don't know if any of my talks from any of these conferences are on YouTube. I know that the CodeMash one was not, but the talking you can find on YouTube from me is mostly on the DevChatter channel. You might be able to find a Star Trek talk or two, but most of the conferences I go to don't like to record the talks because they don't want the recording to interrupt the talk. So if you have technical difficulties with the recording or something like that, they don't want that to impact the people that are attending the conference. So I don't remember which ones have recorded and which ones haven't. So I wouldn't be able to track down and tell you where to find them. Okay, let's get back to our unit testing though. Okay, so we're going to say do nothing given non-ready action. So this time we're going to say false, and we're going to say add action for. So we're still going to do the force, and then we're going to say dot never. So we're going to say if it's not ready, we do not want our invoke to be called. And that's what we expect to happen on this one. And I think this is going to go green immediately, so we can make this one fail just to make sure, because we do like red-green refactor. Automation, you can't tell me what to do. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to leave off this. So we're going to pretend that that's what we wrote. And I'm going to run these unit tests again, and I want only the first two to fail, but to succeed, and the do nothing should fail. There we go. So do nothing fails. We add the where back in. We run the unit tests, and now it should pass. And there we go. Okay, so the cool thing about that, and I apologize about that being behind my head, but you guys can kind of tell what's going on there. My head's not that big. But that actually should get that going. So, I think that is worthy of a test. But again, since this one is not complete, we're going to go ahead and say WIP, which is just, work in progress. And that's an indicator to someone, hey, don't actually ever use that commit version, because it's clearly not working, but we want to have a commit for this so that we can minimize the amount of changes that we've got. So this is actually wiring up that automation system. So wiring up the new automation system. And notice that I don't mention the tests. Now, if I do a commit that's just unit testing, I'll mention the tests. But if I'm doing a commit where I added unit testing, I don't mention that because clearly I did the unit testing, because why wouldn't I? Has anyone ever told you that you kind of look like Brendan Fraser? No, but I would take that as a compliment. Because everybody named Brendan is clearly the same person. Now, if you said I looked like Brendan Ike, the guy that worked at Mozilla, clearly all Brendans look the same. Brendan Fraser was not famous when I was born, Crimson Green. Okay. What was I doing? Just don't say I look like this guy, because I don't look like that guy. He has glass. Oh wait, yeah, he does have glasses. What are you talking about? Look, creator of the JavaScript programming language, named Brendan. Hang on while we continue the Brendan propaganda here. All clearly. You'd think I would know JavaScript better, considering Brendan created JavaScript. Okay, that's true, Crimson Green, but as far as I know, my parents didn't know Brendan Fraser before he was famous. Okay, so we got that. We don't need that anymore. So add action, we're going to log, we're going to add it to our collection. Once it's added to the collection, then it should be able to run. I'm going to make our method that removes actions. So we're going to say private void remove. And I'm going to fix its name later. I don't know what its name is actually going to be. So what I'm going to say is actions to remove equals underscore actions dot where x dot is done is will never run again. I'm going to say will never run again, because that definitely means it is done, it is completed, no one is going to have any other interpretation for that, and if you try to bring one up, you need to add a kappa after your message. Okay, so let's go ahead and add this to our interface. We're going to have will never run again. And thank you for that kappa. Well timed. So now I want to do a for each on actions to remove var action. And what I want to do is I'm going to to-list that. Now the reason I'm going to to-list that is I'm going to be modifying the actions collection, so I don't want to actually be looping over it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say underscore actions dot remove. And this takes an item, so I'm going to remove action. So remove actions that remove actions that will never run again. That might be too long a name, but I'm not totally against it. That chat on screen seems to fade out rather quick. I was full screen, missed some of the chat now because of it whilst coding. Oh, and thank you for the follow, my Kappa friend. Let me go ahead and I can actually fix that pretty quickly, I think. I can make it so the chat items don't fade out so fast. Part of the reason why I have it fade out relatively quickly is in case someone says something that's inappropriate, it'll be gone even if one of our mods doesn't catch and delete it. Let's see, hide messages after. It says 30 seconds. Is that... We'll give messages a minute on screen before they disappear. There we go. Okay. So that may have just adjusted live. I don't know whether it's going to do that or whether it's going to need to refresh before it adjusts. But if so, yeah. Thanks, Seb. Much appreciated. You do know Crimson Green is in here, and he is our resident banhammer user. He did unintentionally ban some people one time. It was pretty funny. I don't think he's going to ban you, Seb. I was kidding. Alright, so we have run all ready actions. Oh, yeah, no problem, Ryan. I actually really appreciate the comment. If anyone ever does have ways that I can improve the stream, you can let me know here, or alternately, if you want to, if you want to let us know if it's a bigger thing, something I maybe can't adjust immediately, head on over to our stream info page and go to the issues section. There's a link I just put in chat there. If you head over there and make an issue, you can let us know if there's ever something that you need us to adjust on the stream to make viewing it better, and we can take a look at it. So I have gotten requests for adjustments there. Like one time it was asked that I move my chat window up a little bit so that you all could see what branch I'm on. So right here you'll see that here. But right now the chat window is not really covering that, so I'm not worried about it. But those types of things, like if there's something that I can adjust to make things a little better, I will do it. Okay, so remove actions that will never run again. Let's go back to our unit test. This one doesn't make sense as an add. So this one, I'm going to say remove all. So automation action is did I call it automation actions? Yeah. Automation system should. That's all we're going to call this one. Now that's because this one's not having to do with a specific method. So a lot of times we name our test with the idea that we're testing the functionality of a method. This one's not one of those. So we went with a more generic name for it. So we're going to say remove actions given they will never run again. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to make a new one of these objects. So let me hop over to these tests. And for now, I'm just going to duplicate this method. So we're going to have the same helper over here. Yes, import those, please. And then what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to call the method. Ryan the Leech, thank you for following. Greatly appreciated. Love the support from the community. New, and let me hop over here. We're going to grab this mock. We're going to call this mock to keep and mock to remove. So we're going to have these two mocks, mock to keep and mock to remove. And then we're going to add mock to keep and mock to remove. Ooh, how do we verify this one? This is a more difficult thing to test here. Because we need to know what's still in the list. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go back to the automated action system, and I'm going to do another force method like this one. And I'm going to first off move our existing one down to the bottom of the file, put the next one right after it, and this is going to be force and then that name. So that's a really long method name. That's okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say automated action system dot force the removal, and then I'm going to force that we actually run them. So I'm going to force it to remove and then force it to run. So normally these are going to be running in a background process automatically, so we can't control the timing. So I added two methods that are not going to be on the interface that can trigger it to actually just happen. We may also want these in the system because we may need like a reset, like just run it like debugging thing while the program's going. So I don't mind having the method there because I do expect we'll have some kind of an admin page where you can click a button and it's going to run this method. Not that we have that yet, but should work well enough. Okay, so we have done that, we've done that, we've done that. So here's what I want to do. I need to set both of these up as ready to run. This is going to get longer than I'd like. So what I'm going to do is this. Setup, and I want to say, is it time to run? And I'm going to have it return true regardless, despite the fact that in a real-world scenario, the one that's ready to remove will not also be ready to run. So this would not normally be a valid condition, but this is going to help me test that it's really not there, because we know it runs it if it can. So we're going to remove the actions, and then we want to verify at the end. So verify. What do we want to verify? We want to verify invoke. Whoops, invoke times once, and then remove should be never. And for anybody who's wondering what I just did there, you can multi-line select now in Visual Studio, so you can do fancy stuff like what I just did there. Okay, so that let us do that. This test is a little uglier than I wanted because the mocks kind of get in the way. So some people have asked me before why I sometimes use fakes instead of mocks in and some of the reason I'll use fakes sometimes is that I don't have to do as much setup kind of work inside of the test when I use a mock, or when I use a fake. When you use a mock, you actually have to do some of that. So that's part of the reason why. Not for Benny. You mentioned multi-cursor functionality. So we have multi-line editing in Visual Studio. So I can select like this. But if you mean like VS Live Share, like multiple people being able to code at the same time, that is multiple cursors inside of Visual Studio, and it's in both. I do guest streams where I bring on pair programmers and they run with that. So if that's what you're talking about, not for Benny, then we actually have that here in Visual Studio also. So it's kind of neat. Okay. Let me go fix these. Oh. I never fixed that namespace. Huh, weird. Oh, and I left these like this. That's funny. And yes, I'm going to leave the not implemented exceptions right now, because I do need to write the code for them. You remember we tried that once during class like 2 months ago, and when they released that plugin for VS 17, Brutal Swede. Oh, we actually, so I love it here on the channel. It's actually still a preview, so it's still early, so it still may have bugs and issues and things like that. You mean Sublime's multi-cursor, multi-edit is way better, but yeah. Oh, so some programs will let you do like multi-cursor where you like click on one line and then you like click on another line, and it will let you actually type from both points at the same time. Whereas in Visual Studio's, you'll notice that I have to have a straight line. So there's a lot of problems with Visual Studio's multi-line editing, and there are some solutions much nicer. But yeah, Emacs for thanks. Yeah, Emacs for life, exactly. Alright, so let's go ahead and run that test again. Yes, I know the test's a little ugly. That's sometimes why I use fakes instead of mocks. I think I said that. Okay, ooh, test failed. Why'd the test fail? Expected invocation should never been... What? Oh! Yeah, no, this is expected. So, whoops. X will never run again. There we go. Will never run again. False. True. There we go. And now you see why I wanted to build a fake for that. I'm actually gonna write the fake for this. Because this test got like super ugly. That's really nasty. And I don't like that. So we're gonna go fix it by just making a fake. And no one will complain about my fake here. Fake interval action. There we go. It's going to implement this, and we're going to implement the members. There we go. Fake. I'm going to give it a constructor. And it's going to have bool is time to run. Bool will never run again. Okay. So we're going to set a field there. We're going to set a field there. And this is going to return is time to run. And this is going to return underscore will never run again. And actually, I'm going to make one slight adjustment here. So I did these as fields, but I'm going to make them public. Not going to be read-only. They're going to be properties. Which means I need to fix their name. Don't worry, I'm going to fix their name further. So their name matches the method name, so that's why I need to change it. That's what it's complaining about. So we're going to say should never run again and should run. Should never run again, should never run again. Okay, so we can adjust those if we want. And now I want to have initialize a property, so I'm going to make one more property here. I'm going to make it a Boolean, and invoke was run. I'm going to explicitly set it to false, despite the fact that I don't need to do that because that's the default value of a Boolean. I'm going to say invoke was run equals true when it runs. Okay, so what do we have here? Real programmers use open source dependencies because the faster we finish the next great CRUD app we are assigned to actually get back to work. Nice. Real programmers don't use autoload. Also, programming is Notepad is hip. Yes, Notepad++, best IDE ever. Butterfly effect to change the because oh, that's useful, Swede. Very nice. Real programmers, for the record, just need two keys, a 0 and a 1, and that's it. Alright, so now that we've got that, we can make our test just a bit nicer. So this ugly pile of junk that got us down to line 42. Oh, 42. Maybe I shouldn't change this code. New fake interval action. So time to run true. True. Wait, we're doing false. This is the fake to keep. And then this one will be the fake to remove. Get rid of this, get rid of all that junk. Look how much nicer this is. And people comment when I'm using fakes instead of mocks that I should be using mocks. So now I can just say fake to keep dot invoke was run should be true, and fake to remove invoke was run should be false. There we go. So the one that was removed should not have been run. The one that we keep should be run. And we'll see if this tests. So I guess we only dropped 2 lines of code, but it looks nicer to me. Mocks are for noobs. Well, thanks for that, Crimson Green. So test still passes. Cool. Pyro, I missed yours. What is it? Real programmers use magnets to hold hard. Oh, yeah, sorry, I did miss yours. I apologize about that, Pyro. It was very important to know that developers use magnets on their hard drives. I had no idea. Alright, so in this one, let's take a look at what we did to the automated action system. So we actually and remove methods on automation system. There we go. So that is what we did there. And prayer different design. So interestingly, I actually do want to tell you all what type of something DD I do, and it is actually PDD bit law. Interestingly enough, I have been teaching this as a concept to developers for many years now. I call it pain-driven development or pain-driven design. And the concept is this. So people often ask me things like, hey, when should I refactor? When is too much duplication? When should I go to the solid principle architecture? When should I implement the open-close principle? When should I do this? And my answer always is, has it started to get painful? When it starts to get painful, that's when you that's when you add complexity to remove pain. And so the idea is that things get painful for a variety of reasons. When they get painful, refactor so it's not painful anymore. But until it's painful, you can stick with it. So, and yeah, Ryan, exactly. So the painful. So the idea is when you start to get so much repetition that it's painful, which maybe it's painful at 2, maybe it's painful at 3, maybe you delay until it's 4. A lot of these things come down to a judgment call and your preference on how soon before you start getting rid of things. There's no right answer, which is why I usually tell people this subjective answer of wait until it's painful, because then that's an indicator that you can sort of decide on and you understand, like, oh, this is more than I want to deal with in terms of, you know, this architecture needing to get fixed. So that's when you know, oh, okay, yeah, I can get that. I'm gonna fix this. So it puts it in a spot where everybody understands that, because we all understand the idea of it was painful to update this method. Like, oh, it was painful to update that? Okay, fix it. So that's the idea. So if one of you are one of those people with a giant working memory, so nothing is ever painful since you just remember where everything is, well, BitLaw, then what you do is you go based on the judgment, yes, what Ryan says, you go based on the judgment of the rest of the team. When someone else on the team says that it is painful, that's when you fix it. And again, painful for the juniors is a perfectly valid thing to base it on, because you want to make sure everybody on the team is comfortable programming on it. So stuff I do here sometimes might be uncomfortable for you guys. If what I'm doing is painful for you guys because I've got too much complexity, too much repetition, something like that, bring it up. Let me know. And either we can work on refactoring together, maybe you can help with that, maybe I can do it, something like that, but we'll make the code a little bit better. So you guys are part of the team here. And so just make sure that the juniors on your team know that it's safe for them to bring up when something's painful. So that's part of the reason why I point out that it's such an important thing to have a safe environment where everybody feels like they can contribute and no one's going to get ridiculed for, oh, you're not a good enough programmer to understand this complex structure we came up with. And that's just dumb. BitLaw wins the conversation today. Well done, BitLaw. There you go. Visual Studio looks painful. Can we fix it? Make the changes easy, warning this may be hard. And then make the easy change. Yeah, that is a very good suggestion, Boggs. Easy changes are the big thing. And yes, Visual Studio does look painful. And that's one of those things that we can't easily fix. So for anyone who doesn't know, when I do I do a series here on DevChatter called Learn to Code, where what we do is we all get together and I host a stream where we're planning on teaching new programmers. And so we have me and a bunch of other people that are in here, and we've got beginners learning to code with us, and we have more advanced people explaining things, and we talk about coding. And when we do that, I don't run Visual Studio. I'm in VS Code. And part of the reason I'm in VS Code is that it's not as scary, it's not as painful as Visual Studio. It is easier for a junior to start in Visual Studio Code than it is full Visual Studio. So that's part of the reason why. Takeshi, I will take that as a compliment, and I appreciate it. So I try to explain things well here. And yeah, Rubik's, Visual Studio Code does look nice, and it's got easy to adjust themes, and is pretty easy to work with. So, okay. I committed these changes, right? Yes, I did. Next step. Let's figure out how we can... Oh, Twiddly Doof. So I'm running Visual Studio here. It's Microsoft Visual Studio. This is Visual Studio. VS Code is not exactly Visual Studio. So code.visual studio is this. It's a simple text editor. It looks a bit like Visual Studio, but it is actually just a text editor. It's not a full-blown IDE. Visual Studio is a full interactive development environment. It's got all the stuff built in, debugging tools. Everything is specific to running your full project. That's full Visual Studio. VS Code is just a text editor. It happens to have extensions to do a lot of those things, like running the code and things like that, but it's usually doing that through a terminal or through something else, so that's one of the big differences between these two. Oh, so I know a lot of people that actually do C++ in Visual Studio. VS Code is cool and all, but when all in control D to duplicate line, but VS Code does... Nice, Seb. I'd move to Rider if it worked at work. Oh, it doesn't work for you. Huh. Yes, so exactly, BitLaw. So that's actually one of the things people like about VS Code, as opposed to Visual Studio, is that you can pick and choose which things you want in there. And while in the installer of Visual Studio, you can decide what frameworks, SDKs, and other things like that you want it to install, you still get a lot. There's a lot of things that come in that you don't have that fine-grained control of. So Visual Studio is a much bigger beast, and it's going to take up gigs of space regardless of what you do. Yeah, so Zion, we're going to do some more UI-based stuff later also. And the Flaming Bird, thank you for following. Much appreciated. And okay, so I posted some links to stuff in chat for both our Learn to Code streams as well as the setup link for what you would need if you wanted to attend one of our Learn to Code streams. Visual Studio is more opinionated about how you build software. VS Code is more like, here's a terminal, a bunch of tools, you know. Oh, yeah, that's a very good point, BitLaw. The other nice thing about VS Code as opposed to Visual Studio is that it runs, it's got a much smaller footprint, and it will run on Linux, Windows, and Mac, not just on Windows. So Visual Studio, you're really just running on Windows. There is technically Visual Studio for Mac, but that's actually another program. So 1 second, everybody. Alright, I am back. Let's see, we stopped using full Visual Studio for front-end work. That's not surprising. Wait, hang on. I'm sad that I can't stay for too long. I enjoy your teaching explanations. Oh, that's really awesome, Takeshi. I appreciate it. Also, Takeshi, did you see the, you might notice the group I've got right below my, my stream here now. Visual Studio Code is not an IDE itself, it's just a Sublime Atom clone, to be honest. Oh, yeah, exactly, Pyro. It's just another text editor. So VS Code is actually one of the most popular text editors on the internet right now for, like, developers, I should say. So it's actually very nice. So Visual Studio for Mac is a former Xamarin. Forzer, that is, yes, that is correct. I assume it's pretty nice, but I haven't used it. VS Code didn't really faze me. I mean, kind of... Yeah, so interestingly, it's a lot of JavaScript developers that picked up VS Code. So I'm always surprised when I'm looking at a JavaScript demo online and I notice the VS Code metadata files in their projects, and I'm like, huh, that's funny. Oh, Crimson. Yeah, so see you, Takeshi. Developers. Thanks for that, Steve. So welcome anybody that was lurking around in the Code Rush stream. We just got auto-hosted by Mark Miller's stream. And I should mention to people that Mark was actually one of our guests on our stream a while back. He's actually the guy that did our... I had him on as a guest showing us Code Rush, if you couldn't guess based on the name of his channel. Right time to repeat my question about composition and inheritance. Twiddly-doof. Yes. Oh, and was it iHeartCoding that had a question and was waiting for a question and answer phase at the end? So iHeartCoding, if you're here, go ahead and ask the question. Twiddly-doof. I can absolutely talk to you about the ideas of composition and inheritance. Okay. So I will first tell you, there is no such thing as a best practice. There are only advice on how to do things, and I can say I've found success doing things certain ways, and I know that there are reasons to do this, and it can reduce pain in this way, blah, blah, blah. So I'll preface with that, and then I will tell you that what I find that works best is, first off, I try to use composition more than inheritance, and I will show you what I mean. Where's a good example? We were just doing this recently. I was building the decorator pattern somewhere. Oh, I was building it as part of our schedule command. Right? I was messing with our schedule command, wasn't I? And I was messing with our time zone lookups. Yes, perfect. Okay, here we go. So this will let me talk about it. So I want to have an example as I discuss it. So the idea here is that in most situations, when you want to encapsulate some kind of behavior, so for example, I want to have caching as a functionality on my schedule command. So is the bot still in here? By the way, anybody that wants to chat with us outside the stream, you can join our Discord. And yes, the bot's running. So if I do my schedule command, I can do schedule -4. And what it does is the bot has my schedule saved in the database, and it applies a change, and it says schedule -4. And what that does is it takes my schedule that's stored as a value in UTC time, and it says, hey, let me convert that to UTC -4 because I said -4. And so that gets it in my time zone. Well, we added a new feature. We added in the ability to use a place. So I could say schedule in Cleveland, right? And that will get me the schedule in Cleveland. I could say schedule Seattle. Now, anyone who was here earlier in the stream when I used my schedule command will have seen that I put in Seattle before. I typed that in. Well, because of this caching layer that we put in here, what happens is the bot actually checks to see first if I've already searched that place. If I have, it uses the information that it found on it instead of calling out to Google. So if you type in the exact same text that has already been searched, it will not go to Google to check. So what it does is, so if you type in a new place, like what Ryan the Leech just did, I don't think that's stored yet, that location, it actually calls out to Google, finds that location, and comes back with it, and that's what we get presented as our result here. So it applies the adjustment and displays the schedule. Awesome, really cool. We added in caching. So when I made that change, I had a couple of options. I could have taken the code that called out to Google, and I could have said, take that method and just put some caching directly in line, right? I could just put in some methods that say, open up a database table and store it, and that'd work fine. Alternately, I could say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a cached version, right? And so I could make, here's the piece that calls out to the place, and I could make a cached version of that does caching, right? And so what it would do is it would call the base version, so it would call its child method and then run. So let's go to the Google API time zone lookup. So right here, so this is the mildly ugly code that calls out to Google, right? I could have just put the caching in here, or alternately, I could inherit from this and just call its methods, right? And I could just call the base method and run that. And that's what it would look like if I built it as inheritance. Now, the reason I didn't do that is that the cached version is not really a child of it. So while they share behavior, the cached version isn't really one of those, because caching isn't like adding additional it's not like adding an additional piece. So for example, if I did a I might have in my model a person class and a student and a teacher class. Now, student and teacher, it makes sense for those to inherit from person, right? Because they're sort of adding additional properties to the person. Now, if in your model someone could be both a teacher and a student, then in that case you want to go with a compositional approach and say that a person has, you know, a role or a job or an aspect to them, and that aspect would be the student aspect or the teacher aspect. And by using composition instead of inheritance, you allow for additional functionality because someone could now have both. And yes, S&B, that is actually why we have the Magnus command, is because Magnus always immediately tried to break stuff right at the beginning of the stream. So Magnus has been immortalized in the bot as the guy that tries to break stuff. So I haven't seen Magnus in a while, but he did always try to break stuff. And we appreciated that, because it helps us get stuff better. So it's kind of fun how everybody tries to subvert the bot. Did anything else interesting happen in chat that I missed? If so, I apologize about that, everybody. Ooh, drop table users. Very nice, Vernon Hawk. Much appreciated. Love how you guys are all trying to break that. Anyway, let me just go ahead and do this. Whoop, subverted. Anyway, so here's what we did instead. Let me go to the other. So I did make a cached time zone lookup, but instead of inheriting from the Google one, they both implement the time zone lookup interface. So what this gets me instead is I can now compose my object with the Google version. So rather than inheriting, I can add that in. And the cool thing about this is I can add in a caching layer to this. Now what I can also do is, let's say that I also want it to report back which one it used. I could make another version that does logging. Or maybe I need to verify permission levels. I could add another layer that verified permission levels. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm creating a structure out of these, and we're composing it at runtime with these different parts. And it lets them be interchangeable. So I can decide, hey, I want to add in caching. If I want to turn off caching, I just don't use this piece anymore and I run the other one. And I didn't muddy it up with caching. Additionally, even within my cached time zone lookup, what you'll notice when you look at this is I never actually do any caching in here. All I did was call out again to something that I composed on. So I have this as well. So obviously you probably understand that, example, if we're in the model where you have person, and then you've got underneath person you have both teacher and student as two other classes. If teachers and students are always mutually exclusive in your model, and that's just an example, then yeah, you can absolutely use inheritance. It's great. But what I generally tell people to do is favor composition over inheritance. That doesn't mean don't use inheritance. That means look for the compositional approach first, because it's probably better. But if there's not an easy one, or it's going to get complicated, then just use inheritance, if that makes sense. Okay, so let me catch up on chat here. Little Bobby Tables. Oh, and Brutal Sweet, I apologize. I killed the bot. Oh, thanks. That's one thing I never understood about composition versus inheritance. The interfaces were still valid for both. Yes, exactly, Ryan the Leech. So, by using an interface, I get around that problem. And thanks for following, Horkrine. Horkrine? Is that like a pork rind joke? Maybe it's totally unrelated. But I love the name either way. And welcome. Thanks for following. Horkrine, you like how I explain everything, and you need to do that more when I do this sort of stuff. Well, I really appreciate the compliment. Thank you. I'm glad that you guys are understanding my explanations, and I really do get excited. So I'm absolutely. Oh, well, awesome! I got it right. Cool. I never know when I'm pronouncing names if I get them right. I feel really bad because I'm like, I don't know what language that's from. I don't know where it is. I just have to take a guess on the internet. So glad I at least said it right. Yeah. So. I hope you guys see that, like, you are welcome to ask me questions. I get excited about this stuff. I love talking about C#. It is quite fun. Programming, C#, .NET Core, all this kind of stuff is an absolute blast. So, yeah, feel free to fire away with questions and things like that. With the caching permission stuff, how do you make sure people don't use the raw class giving performance or security issues? Okay, so Ryan... the short answer for that is, in most solutions, what you want to do is you want to use an IOC container. So what that means is somewhere at the beginning of the code, when your application's starting up, it is going to configure an IOC container. And if you don't know what that is, you can check some of our previous videos. I really should do a video sometime where we just explain what an IOC container is, so I can point to that at some point and just say, hey, watch that video and it'll explain IOC containers. And so the idea is, once you configure your IOC container, whether it be AutoFac, the one built into .NET Core, or whether you use Structure Map or Ninject or whatever it is that you want to use in order to get your dependencies configured, you're going to set it up so that whenever someone asks for an time zone lookup, what they get is the structure you defined in the beginning. So that means when someone has a constructor and they say, hey, I need an time zone lookup to run, they get your pre-configured one. Horkrine, I do like AutoFac, although we took it out of this solution just to try and simplify a little bit. Let's see, right, and just leave it to configuration. AutoFac is a good IOC container, but the one that ships with .NET Core is pretty good too. Exactly, what S&B said. That's very well said. Okay, yeah. So Prism is the one that you use, Ryan the Leech. Would be the one that you use. I've used that before also. I have used a lot of IOC containers in my time programming. There have been so many. So I used to actually do user groups talks and conferences. So there's a talk that I like to give about IOC containers. And yes, Horkrine, I do use ReSharper. So the thing that I do when I teach people about IOC containers, there is a neat trick that I do. I take 10 minutes of our presentation and I create an IOC container. Because they, like, in its simplest form, any of us can actually just make an IOC container. It's nice and easy. In fact, for small projects where I don't think we're going to need to get to an actual IOC container, like a full-blown IOC container, there is actually a trick that I do that's even less of an IOC container, that does even fewer things. And that's not the one that I use to explain IOC, but in very small projects, like if you're using a microservices approach, for example, I often don't recommend using a full-blown IOC container because they add some complexity, and if your microservices really are independent microservices and they don't have all the other dependencies on some other library and class, meaning you're not just doing a distributed monolith, but you're actually doing microservices, you usually don't need a full-blown IOC container. So that's actually one of the big secrets that a lot of people don't realize, is if you needed the IOC container, you probably are too complex. So, okay. That's not to say you definitely are, but there's a good chance of it, because it usually means there's too many dependencies, there's too much going on, and you're probably accessing things that belong to the monolith. And that's probably why you needed an IOC container. The one problem I have when I'm giving talks is explaining solid. Horkrine! Oh, you brought up the best thing! Thank you. Hang on. There's something I need to talk about, everyone. Everyone, thank Horkrine for being amazing. Right over here, if you are on the channel right now and you go over to our events section up on the stream, right over here, what you are going to find is, first off, that next Monday we're doing a Learn to Code in C# stream, so we're again going to invite back the beginners. If you're not a beginner, you still might learn something, you still might have fun, and you are also welcome to show up and help and answer questions for any of the beginners that do show up. But after that, you might notice I've got this new thing here. This thing labeled solid. And then look, there's another one. OMG, Brendan scheduled 5 solid streams coming up. So what I'm planning on doing is what I am calling Solid Saturdays. We are going to have 5 Saturdays in a row is my plan. If I need to reschedule, I will, but that's the plan right now, is to do 5 Saturdays in a row, one of each. So we're going to do single responsibility principle, open-close principle, Liskov substitution, interface segregation, and dependency inversion principle. I have been talking about and teaching solid for, I probably started giving presentations on it in like 2008, 2009, maybe? Somewhere around there, so decade about. I'm a big fan of them. They do a lot of things. You will find a lot that a lot of the code that we do here on stream is following solid. And thank you, Bill and Steve, for dancing. Horkrine, thank you very much for the tier 1 sub. Greatly appreciated. Can we get some DevChatter hype emotes spammed in that chat, please? There we go. Just mine so far. Where are the other DevChatter hype emotes? And Horkrine, enjoy your new sub badge. This is the first stream with our new sub badges, so you're in an egg right now. But in 3 months, if you maintain that subscription, you will hatch out of that egg and be a little baby dinosaur. And thank you for helping spam that hype in the chat there, Seb. Till, yes, you are arriving at the end of the stream, but we're doing some Q&A stuff, talking about code. And there we go, BG, thank you. Nice, Horkrine. Yeah, so I just present DDNC07, hello. So anyway, yeah, we are going to be doing, well, I appreciate that, Horkrine. I'm glad it only took you 15 minutes to decide you like the channel. So anyway, what I was saying is, we're going to be doing some solid streams, so if you are confused about the solid principles of object-oriented design and you do want to learn more about them, I love talking about them. In fact, I have to disappear for a second to show you guys this, because I'm actually going to physically get an object, like a physical object. That's right, some things exist outside of the computer. There is actually a real world that exists somewhere, and isn't just I don't live inside this computer screen. I know it looks like I'm in here in this window on your computer, but no, I live in the real world, actually. Surprising, I know. I will be right back while I grab that physical object I want to show you all. Okay, so a bunch of, physical world. So a bunch of years ago, I worked for a software company. We're a consulting firm called Nimble Pros. And this is a calendar. Yes, a physical, real-world wall calendar that we actually sold and distributed around the world. So I don't know if anybody ever got one of these, but they're pretty awesome. No, so Sorband, it applies to all object-oriented languages. So Java, C#, you can apply it pretty effectively in C++. They're basically they're design principles. So it's a set of 5 programming principles. So They mostly apply to languages that have object-oriented concepts, so you could apply it in C++ as well. Now, the reason I bring up this calendar is this. You're gonna have to give me 1 second to find the right pages. So this is, it's kind of hard to read that text, but you'll notice that this says interface segregation. So we literally made a calendar that has things like the open-closed principle. So it's kind of funny. It's the programmer's version of thank you, BitLaw. Yes. So yes, that is a good explanation. It's basically a set of rules that you want to follow. So the basic explanation of them is, for the single responsibility principle, I'll just run through them really quickly. You're basically saying you should only have one responsibility for any given object. So sometimes people phrase it as you should only have one reason to change, and that's a good way of describing what a responsibility is, because a lot of people say, well, hang on, what's a responsibility? Because, like, managing data is a responsibility, but no, managing data is not a responsibility. That's massive. Single responsibility means that your class, your object, has a clear thing that it does. It has one responsibility, and any additional responsibilities go somewhere else. That's single responsibility. Open-closed principle says you should be open to extension and closed to modification, which basically means if you need to extend the behavior, you should do that by extending it without modifying it. So that means you should be able to get more features, but you don't want to modify yourself. We have lots of examples of that in our code. That's actually what that compositional approach was that we took there, that decorator pattern that we were just looking at for that cache layer. That is an example of the open-close principle. Liskov substitution is it's really hard to phrase this because the exact wording is important, but basically the idea is if you say you're implementing an interface or you are inheriting from something, you really need to actually match it, and so that's why Liskov substitution gets weird. Essentially, there shouldn't be times where you can't use your substitute. So in order to inherit from something or implement something's interface, you really need to actually do it and not say, like, implement 80% of it or something like that. You need to be fully substitutable for it. That's the Liskov substitution principle. Interface segregation is the I in that, and that one's basically, the best answer I can give you that one is keep your interfaces small. So if you remember our code, if you take a look at this one, that is a tiny interface. This is following the interface segregation principle right here. Nice and small, nice and short, well separated out interfaces. And then the last one is dependency inversion, and anybody that uses IOC containers is probably already following the D in solid. So that's the concept. It's pretty good. Yes, Horkrine, I have noticed that LOL looks like a person drowning. I see that every time, actually. Function should do one thing and one thing only. That's true. Function should, class should. Terminology is funny because in physics the opposite of solid is gas, but in programming the opposite of solid is spaghetti. Nice, BitLaw. That's good. Liz is the... yes, Till. Liskov substitution is one of the hardest one to explain. Stoolpenner, take care. Have fun. Good night. I know that time is weird for everybody because it is not even 3 p.m. here in my time zone. Oh, I stopped the bot. What am I doing? I can't use commands. For S of solid, you could segue into CQRS. I technically could, Horkrine, but the so one of the challenges with talking about solid is it is hard to talk about them in a vacuum because all the principles sort of rely on each other. Because if you're following one, you're usually following the other. So they sort of, weave into each other a bunch. And at the core of many of them is just the idea of DRY. So that's an acronym for Don't Repeat Yourself. So it's very common there. Okay. I Heart Coding said he, she, they, I don't know which. I Heart Coding mentioned having a question to ask at some point, and I don't think we got to that yet. So I Heart Coding, if you're here, now is a good time to ask the question. So the handful of things that I want to mention to everybody. If you haven't checked it out yet, go take a look at our code on GitHub. If you haven't joined yet, go join our Discord. So one of the big things that I'm trying to do here that I want to mention to everybody is that I am trying to build a developer community, not just a Twitch channel. I would like it if we all work together. And yeah, Bitlaw, Yagni. So don't repeat yourself, Yagni. All those concepts all apply nicely. You talking about this Yagni? You ain't gonna need it. Yagni. But the oh, and Till, don't worry, we have feature creep on one of the later calendars as well. So what I was saying is I want to build a full developer community. I want people showing up, talking about coding. So if you are interested in chatting with other developers who are interested in coding and want to discuss the same kinds of things you are, a lot of people attend user groups. I still recommend you go to your user groups. But another place to show up and chat and talk about different programming things, you saw something interesting that you want to check out, you want to discuss with someone else, hop over onto our Discord. We have channels for various things. If I'm missing the one you need, add it and we'll give you a spot to discuss it. So if you wanted to talk about C#, we have a channel just about C#. You want to talk about .NET as opposed to C#, we've got a channel for that. You want to talk about Java, we have a channel for talking about Java. And so the idea is that there are a whole bunch of developers that are also interested in programming, learning new things, digging into fun tech. So if you do want to check out any of that stuff, I highly recommend you join our Discord. If you haven't yet, also run our schedule command and type in a city near you in your same time zone, and our bot will tell you when our streams are happening. So you can do that in our chat right there. Our streams happen on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays if you want to catch them live. But if you miss one or can't catch it live for whatever reason, over here on Twitch in the videos section, you can find all of our recent videos that we've done here on the channel. So all you do is you click over here on videos, and you're going to see a whole list of stuff. Starting with our Learn to Code series, which is up here on top, but below that, you'll have all the videos that we do here on the stream. Looks like actually someone already started watching today's video, so probably showed up late and just wanted to start from the beginning, but that's today's video. You can actually already be watching it. And but the problem with watching the video is you can't be here live to talk with us during the stream, so it's less fun that way. But that's actually where you can check those out, and if the video you're looking for is older, so Twitch only keeps these around for so long, maybe it's 50 days, I don't remember exactly, there's some length of time that Twitch keeps our videos. If you don't find it there, head on over to our YouTube channel, that's youtube.com/c/devchatter, and if you take a look at that, so it's 30 days, okay, thanks for that, Horkrine, so apparently they're there for 30 days. But you can actually go over here and you can find all of our archives of our older videos. So what I do to make sure that these videos are only in one place or the other is I time it so that when the videos are disappearing from Twitch, they're showing up on YouTube. So the videos will only be in one place or the other. So if you search both places, you'll find the one you're looking for, but I don't want it to be in both. And I actually like the Twitch video player a lot because you still get the chat on the side if you want to see it, and that's the full chat that sticks around. Whereas if you're on YouTube, you only get this video, not the chat that was going on during. So that is how that works. BitLaw, I'm not sure what you would get as a result of that. You got back our times at... That's just UTC. So BitLaw, I think it just gave you UTC there. That's kind of weird. Oh, yes, Horkrein's correct. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can, just follow at Brandonius. It's right over here somewhere below me. And if you want to follow the DevChatter Twitter account, which mainly is just talking about DevChatter stuff specifically, I talk about some things more than that, but for the most part, programming related, occasionally gaming related as well. There's a DevChatter Twitter as well. Sadly, there's an underscore on the end of the DevChatter one because someone is sitting on that. We own devchatter.com, but we do not own the Twitter somehow. So you can actually go over to devchatter.com. We did build this on the stream. It's not well designed, but at least we did build it on the stream. It's a static site. And it was pretty fun to build. We built it in ym.io, which you can find is probably linked right down here, right there. And this is a static site generation tool that's very fun. We had the creator of this tool be a guest on the stream, and he showed us how to use it, how to customize it, and there's still some more customization that we need to do with it. So it should be fun. And yes, Horkrein, that is actually, so you mentioned that I leave software better than I found it. That is something that I always try to do. It is commonly called the Boy Scout rule, which interestingly is also something that is in this calendar. Can you guess that this calendar is made up of a whole bunch of principles and ideas that me and my former coworkers are big fans of? Where is it? Ah, there it is. See, we have a Boy Scout rule page. Boy Scout rule! So the idea of, just leaving things a little bit nicer than you found it. So the concept there is you don't have to fix everything. You don't need to make it look great. You don't need to make it perfect. But try to make it nicer than it was before you got there. So just make it a little bit better. Yeah, exactly. Try to leave the code base a little bit better than you found it. You won't always be able to do it. It's your goal. Sometimes you will have to mess up the code a little bit before you do that. So, yes, exactly. Turn it on again. BitLaw, what are you talking about? What other? So, yeah. So I mentioned our Twitter, our Discord, our YouTube. Our code is all on GitHub. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to mention to send people towards. Our next stream is going to be on Saturday. Let me pull that up so I can mention it. If we go to our stream info here, we don't have anything scheduled for Saturday. So maybe we'll do our programming exercise one, our programming kata one on Saturday. If not, we'll probably continue on this. And then, as I said, next Monday is our Learn to Code stream. And then next Thursday, so a week from today, mark your calendars. Make sure you actually show up for that one. We're going to have an awesome guest. She's going to be up there in the top corner talking with us. We are going to discuss being part of the greater developer community. So Cassandra Ferris knows a lot about getting involved in the developer community, basically self-promotion, marketing, that sort of thing, and how to engage with other people. So we're gonna have her, we're gonna talk about that, and it's gonna be, I guess, not even really a programming stream, but highly related. So hopefully you are all up for that. It should be an exciting and fun one. So mark your calendars now. So August 9th, that should be a stream that you do not want to miss. So it should be a good one. The reason I have my job right now is because my company spent $250,000. Oh, yeah, so Horkrein, that's also very common. So I worked, okay, this software company I was talking about, almost all of our projects that we would get, we didn't get them greenfield. They were started by someone else, and we would get the project basically fixing it because some other developers wrote code that didn't work very well. And so eventually they would be like, we have this major problem, our code doesn't work. So, and then we would, help out with that. Badly written web forms into ASP.NET MVC. Oh, that's a nice change, Horkrine. And it's a pretty common one. Interestingly, it's what I was doing like a long time ago too, moving badly written web forms into MVC. It's amazing that's still a thing that we keep doing. The Man Saberjaw. You don't see all the episodes of the C# videos. Which ones are you talking about? I can take a quick look right now. You're talking about on here, you don't see... there are 4 Learn to Code in C# videos right now. They should be right there. If those are the ones you're talking about, that's where they are. Guess you could also go here. Yeah, sorry, Nightbot is not very smart, BG, and it assumed your VB.net was a link, and it, I'm aware that wasn't a link. Nightbot's not very smart. Sorry about that. But I do have to keep Nightbot running because it's easier to have it block links than to have moderators in here have to deal with that all the time. So it saves our moderators from having to like carefully watch stuff, because we don't want people posting malicious links in here. So let's see. Horkrine, you're covered the previous developer learned code on YouTube though. Oh, that could be. Hey, there's nothing wrong with learning coding practices from a guy talking to you on the internet. Why does this assume it's the link? I put ASP.NET and MVC and it doesn't ban me. Oh, Horkrine, you're a subscriber. So it doesn't complain about your link. So subscribers are able to post links more easily. That's not to say that our moderators won't jump in with a ban hammer if needed. Oh, BG's well, I don't know then. I thought No, maybe you guys can't post links. Well, never mind, I'm wrong. But thank you for testing that. I thought I had subs allowed to post links, but maybe I don't. So, anyway, I don't know why it doesn't think ASP.NET's a link. Oh, no. I know why. I put in an explicit exception for ASP.NET, so anybody can type ASP.NET. That is an allowable link. It's whitelisted. So that's what that one is. ASP.NET. Yeah, see, anyone can type ASP.NET even if it thinks it's a link. But VB.NET I haven't greenlit as a link. I forgot to get that one. I think .NET is allowed also. DOT.NET. I think that's an allowed link. And I think I allow people to link to any of the Microsoft Docs sites as well. One day I just made a whitelist of everything I thought of and I forgot about VB.NET. Sorry about that. Sorry, VB guys. Stealth Hacker. No, I probably should allow TechNet, but I don't. That's not one of the whitelisted ones. And people be careful about testing that because, as Rubik's found out, which Rubik should be back in here in a second, Nightbot will hit you with a 60-second timeout once you get that. Yeah, so there we go. BG. So VB is actually not that bad. I highly recommend against people using VB only because the developer community exists stronger around C#. So it's much easier to be a C# programmer than it is to be a VB programmer. And I probably should allow all Microsoft subdomains Stealth Hacker. So maybe I'll see if I can whitelist everything that is star.microsoft. I heard coding. You're back. I asked about you like 3 times. Wait, you had a question that you wanted to ask at the end of the stream. You missed a bunch of stuff, but now's question time because I was about to end the stream, so I'm going to answer your question first. And yes, Horkrine, you are correct. There are way more job opportunities in C# than there are in VB.NET right now. So if you're picking which one to learn, you want to learn C# because it'll take you further. I heard coding. What's your question? Quick. You had a question. You said at the beginning of the stream that you had a question. Okay. Well, stayed online for your question. Yeah, there you go, Rubik's. Have you used Stripe and integrated it into ASP.NET? I have used Stripe, but I have not implemented it into ASP.NET Core myself ever. But I have used Stripe before. So I've used it in other systems that already did the integration for me. So I have not done it, but I have integrated with other, I'll say credit card processing systems, just for simplicity of what that is. So if you're wondering about that, I do know a little bit about that kind of stuff, but I haven't done that one specifically. So no, I don't have expertise there. And Stealth Hacker, I think we allow Stack Overflow links, but I don't remember about GitHub. When I use Stripe, you're right in thinking that the way it works is as follows. Well, let's find out. StackOverflow.com. Yes, that works. Good job, guys. And welcome, Zoomable. Thanks for following. Very nice, Horkrine. Throw up. Verify your security key on your server. I heard coding. I don't know. I would have to look into the Stripe documentation to know if it works that way. So the way that I used it was as someone configuring a site that already has the code for that connection implemented. So I did not actually have to do it because it was already a written Stripe plugin that I was using. So I do not actually know what form of communication Stripe uses for that. But I have a feeling the documentation on Stripe explains that. I don't see why it wouldn't. There may be someone else in chat who has worked with Stripe and might know the answer to that one. And Horkrine saying there's a free course on Udemy on how to use Stripe, which could be a good answer for that one. Another spot I would recommend asking if you haven't checked out Stack Overflow or something is heading over to our Discord and asking in there if anyone knows the answer to that question. Someone might. And Sorband got blocked. That is hilarious. So yes, our specific link can't be linked by you guys, despite the fact that that is exactly the same as our Discord link. Which is kind of funny. Sorry about that, Sorband, but luckily that timeout's like a 1-second timeout. Stripe is just so big. No, it's... Oh yeah, exactly. So that's part of the challenge, and I don't actually have experience connecting Stripe, so I apologize, I can't get you that one. But I do actually recommend anybody who's in here check out Discord. There are friendly people over there. You'll find a lot of our regulars, other programmers. So if you haven't hopped over into our Discord and said hi yet, do it. I'm betting someone probably like SNB is gonna say welcome or hi or something like that when you get in there. Yeah. Either way, how much time do you have left? I technically have time, but I was about to wrap up. Did you have a question, Rubik's? I may know the answer. Oh, GitHub Desktop. Yeah, what about it? Got it right here. So I installed and set up GitHub Desktop so that I could do these streams with a tool that was specific to us. Horkrine, have a great one. I will see you on Saturday. Take care. I love good vibes emotes. We need to get a good vibes emote here on DevChatter as well. So if we can get our viewership numbers up to an average of 75 viewers, I am going to basically almost immediately apply for partner status with Twitch, and if we can get it, then we will absolutely be getting a good vibes emote here as well. Because I love good vibes emotes, because good vibes are just good vibes. And take care, I Heart Coding. So you have a project in GitHub, and you use git command. How do you migrate that to Git desktop? I don't want to clone it or anything, just want to be able to commit from there. Oh, so Rubik's, all you need to do, you can literally just drag and drop the folder. So just literally drag the folder onto this window, and it should work. So since you already created it, yep, you should just be able to drag and drop it right on. So as an example, not a repo. Hang on, let me go give you the example. This is a cool thing. So for anybody who doesn't know this, there's a couple of things that I can show you real quickly. Okay, so first off, let me rename this folder that I'm in. Hang on. GitHub desktop example. Okay. Just so you guys can see, I have this folder, GitHub desktop example, and this is not a repo. And this one is going to be a repo. Okay, so in this, I am going to open up a PowerShell window, and I am going to say git init. Right? So now this one, a repo, is a repo that I've created outside of this. I can drag it in here. I can add that repository, and I can now use it, and it will let me use that repository. The one that is not a repo is not a repo yet. I can also drag this one in here, and when I add this one, it will make it a repository. So I can click, would you like to create a repository here instead? And it will just do that. So it's really, really neat. So very, very powerful, cool thing that you can do if you just easily want to add in your repository or set up a new one. So there we go. And it noticed that I deleted the folder and suggested removing it, and did. So hooray! It works! Yeah, git bash. So yeah, so, no, BitLaw, didn't you see? I did a git init on one of the folders, and then I dragged the folder in. So what that did was, I created it in one spot, and then GitHub Desktop said, oh, that's already one? Yeah, I can manage that, and it doesn't deal, there's no remote setup or anything like that. So the cool thing is, because there was no remote, it didn't try to put that on GitHub for me. Now, if I clicked the publish on GitHub, I think it would bring up all the options to be able to make a repo on GitHub and send it there. That's the other cool thing, is you could then create a GitHub repository through that UI, so it's really neat. Okay, so I think that's anything. If anybody wandered in and is wondering, we're doing a little bit of Q&A at the end of the stream, because I like to chat with people and talk about coding and things like that. But if you are here, I do want to let you all know that all the code we do here on stream is out on GitHub. In fact, the bot that responded back on that command is actually one of our main projects here. You can find that there as well. We've got information about our schedule, future streams that we're planning on doing, and all that kind of content is all out there on GitHub. And if you want to watch our videos here, you can find them in the videos section. You want to see any of our old stuff, you can find them in the videos section here on Twitch. And for our older content that's greater than 30 days, you can check out our YouTube channel, which has all of our videos before that point, and you can see all the content that we've got there. And then, if you want to chat with us about coding things, you can check out our Discord by following that link. If you don't know what Discord is, it's a chat application that's commonly used by gamers and Twitch streamers. So think Slack, but for gamers and Twitch streamers. It's just a chat application. It's got voice channels, it's got text channels, and it's a place where you can chat with other people that are interested in this stuff. If you want to make sure that you get notified of the next time we go live, go ahead and click the follow button here. And if you want to know when our schedule is, you can find that down below in the panels, or you can use our schedule command to ask it when we go live by typing in schedule the name of a city that's in your same time zone. You can also do a country as long as it's all one time zone, things like that. So whatever you want to do, like, it'll search for it and try to give you an answer. And it'll tell you the time zone that you need, so you know when our streams are. Our next one will be Saturday, and the time is what it says right there in the chat box. So hopefully I will see you all on Saturday. Click the follow button if you want to get a notification about that. And if you had a good time today, hopefully we will see you there. So enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Whether it's, just starting, whether you're almost done with the day, or whether you're still in the middle of it. Enjoy whatever part of your day you've got left. Happy coding, and we will see you next time. So take care, everybody.